I was a blackout drunk. I lost my job at my podcast because I was drunk at a party and I was hugging people weirdly and I apparently grabbed somebody's ass, and I was the child of two addicts, but I don't blame it on that.
Right.
You know, it's just it's maybe not, like I say, it's not my fault but my responsibility,
Billy, I appreciate you taking the ride out, brother. I've been thinking about doing this podcast with you for a while. I think your content on every level is going to resonate with a lot of different people. Your story is a very unique one. You're a New York kid,
Yes.
born and raised
On Long Island.
Long Island. Met fan since you're
Met fan since 82.
inherited Met fan, or you just became...
No, not really. No, my dad wasn't, his dad, he didn't have a dad that would take him to stuff. So
Right.
he really wanted that. So that's what he was able to give me, is being
Gotcha.
able to take me to stuff. So.
All right, and the only reason I mentioned the Mets is because that's how me and you connected through our love for the Mets. On social media, we connected, and the more I saw about your story, the more, the levels of story just keep going. I keep finding more
Yeah.
and more levels as we go. But I want to go right to the point. We'll start at one point, and then we'll work our way back to when you're a kid and to current day.
All right.
The first case you get fascinated with, this case of solving, how do you find your way into this case?
Okay.
The first one.
The first one that I solved?
Yeah. How do you were you that kid? Were you always interested in detective shit, or did you have aspirations of that?
A little, so I was a writer, started out as a journalist.
Right.
My first ever, I got really as a little kid, into the Kennedy assassination and learned forensics and that kind of thing.
But were you writing prior to that?
I was writing. I wanted to write, I only wanted to do Unsolved. I made that very conscious decision very early in my career.
So that didn't happen by accident.
No. That was, I was working for I did one gig for the New York Post, and it was such a bad experience in the way that I saw that they were trying to draw the story. It was actually right around here. These two girls tried to go around a crossing train and got hit by the train. So they had me go to Stony Brook and try and interview the family and everything. And I was trying to interview the family. They didn't want to talk. And then finally I called up, and it's like, they didn't want to talk. It's like, go try again. I was like, all right, well, I'm trying. And then I called up. It's like, oh, it's okay. We looked at the girl's rap sheet. It's a mile long. And I was like, really? Like, that's what you want to, just because she has a record, we don't care about her.
That's what
because
the New
she's
York
not
Post
that's
said.
what the New York Post said. So I made that decision that night.
What year is this we talking
This
about?
is like 99, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just like, I just want to do Unsolved. I want to try and bring the case closer. So then I would do Unsolved.
You a freelance writer at that point, or you were working
I
specifically?
was doing, let's see, in 99, I think I was working at the Long Island Voice, which is the Village Voice out here. Then I was also doing just freelance. And then when the Voice closed out there, I wrote for Newsday, and then I started writing for, a bunch of different places. And then we started another newspaper called the Long Island Press.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's when I started writing a lot more Unsolved stuff, just because I could give myself, you can't go into, because I was writing for the Times too. You can't go into the New York Times and say, I only want to do Unsolved. They're going to say no, especially as a 26-year-old kid. Yeah. So I became an editor, but then I was able to give myself stories and write Unsolved. But, after, you're writing stories with no endings, so for 15 years, I would write stories with no endings. And with this particular case.
Listen, one of the most popular fucking shows of my childhood, we would watch the whole episode, Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
And there was never...
That was the only one. And
there was never an ending.
Yeah. And I would pitch stories. I would pitch shows in 2010, 2009, up until like 2015. I was pitching shows, and they would always say no because there was no ending. I'm talking about to like Investigation Discovery and those places. The thing that changed was Serial. When Serial happened, and I knew they weren't going to have an ending for it, even though whatever you think is, who did it or not, I realized that, okay, maybe the public will be okay with not having an ending. And it really was. So that kind of opened it up a little bit as far as television goes. But I was, I had been looking at these cases. I've been writing about them, not having endings, still getting awards and stuff. But, it's like, you always want an ending for something. And it really taxes you. And I saw this, one night. I was watching YouTube and I saw this video of a family having a discussion, having a press conference in Chicago, and then they showed the video of their loved one getting killed. Now he had you see video of him at a 7-Eleven. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning in Chicago, uh, um, River North area, which is a big, very popular section, but it starts get a little darker, in 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of sports bars around there, Harry Carey's bars around there and everything. So you see him fighting with this guy, like having an argument with this guy,
Just the
and
two of them are in
just
the
the two,
video.
but there's other people sort of around them, and then he just walks away. But then the guy follows him, and then he turns around, and the guy clocks him in the face, and he falls into the crosswalk. He's in the crosswalk, and people surround him, and then the guy who punched him walks back around and yells something at all the people. All the people go away, and then you're just watching him for a minute, and then a cab rolls over him and kills him. And I'm looking at the video of this guy and was like, it was 3 months ago. You still don't know who this guy is, this guy that punched him. It looked like a pretty clear video.
The YouTube video you were watching was a news broadcast, or was it something the family was putting out?
It was news.
It was a news
It was
broadcast.
news, yeah. And they still couldn't find him. And then I was just thinking, you know what? They can't find him because nobody really watches TV anymore. Nobody, no one's looking for this guy. I said, let me try something. I think I could find this guy. So I set up a Twitter page and a Facebook page called the River North Puncher. And what I was doing at that time was I did it in his voice, like, do you know who I am? And I had a picture of him, which was pretty blurry, but it was decent. If you knew him, you knew him. And I just started. I posted a bunch of stuff on Twitter, and then I just started asking for retweets. And one guy that I had worked with, who had helped in another kind of crowd solving thing, a guy named FanSince09, who's a Philadelphia blogger, he put it out there, and then Barstool Big Cat from Barstool
Mm-hmm.
Sports retweeted it. And then a day later, somebody sent an image and said, I hope this helps. And it was a clear image. All the other images were up top. This was a clear image of the guy's face from the front.
From
And
somebody's cell
from
phone?
somebody's cell phone. But I thought maybe they did something. This is before AI, but I thought, like, did you do
Enhanced
something, enhance it? Did you move it down? I'm writing the guy. Were you there? Like, does he have an accent? How tall was he? Finally, he DMs me and says, I hope this helps more. My friend was there. And it's a video. And the video starts with the victim, Marcus Gaines, on the ground. And then the camera pans up, and then you see the guy walking towards us, the puncher.
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear. And you can tell that, you can see how tall he is and everything. So then it was a matter of, all right, I'm going to go Cook County, which I don't like.
How interested in this information is the authorities? I mean, are you even in contact with them at this
Oh,
point?
I sent it to them. Yeah.
And
Nothing.
right.
Chicago never talks to the press. They're very, out of every police department, they're the hardest to work with. Notorious.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, well, I have a picture. Let me look at Cook County, because they put all of their mugshots online, which I don't think is a good thing to do, because
Does everybody do that?
No. And these people aren't even convicted. They just put the mugshots up there.
Any person who comes in for a mugshot, even pre-trial.
Not cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not cool.
So, and then you have these companies that take all of those mugshots and put them up online, and then put your name on there. And then when somebody Googles your name, it comes up.
pops up.
And then they say, all right, give us $500 and we'll take it down. That's like a whole thing.
It's a
So,
brilliant business
so
move.
they, I'm talking to, so I go through, and I found 3 guys. He had a very distinctive widow's peak, like a Dracula. And one guy might have been too old, one guy might have been too short, one guy might have been too tall. And then I got a film crew to follow me. I was like, I'm going to go to Chicago. And I got a film crew to follow me, and I had the picture, and they were following me. And then the first guy was like, hey, do you know, I went to that neighborhood when it was dark out, went to like a guy that was parking cars, a valet. Have you seen this guy? No. Second guy, it was a bouncer. No. Third guy, it was just sort of a guy, might have been homeless, walks up to me, and I said, have you seen this guy? And he said, yeah. That's Big Dummy, we call him. His real name's Marcus, and it turns out his name was Marcus Moore. I go online, do a search for Marcus Moore. I find he has a Facebook page, and he says he's in Holbrook, but he really is in Minnesota, because I'm looking at his pictures. He's got a picture of himself with a truck behind him, a work truck, and it turns out that's a St. Paul, Minnesota, or Minneapolis, Minnesota uh, logo on the truck. And also his brother lives in Minnesota, so I know all this. And he puts that he's in a relationship with a girl that's in Minnesota. So I package all this up, send it to police, say he's in Minnesota. This is the guy. He's in Minnesota. Go get him.
What's the time frame between you seeing that on YouTube and this? Like, what's
That was probably 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah, of
Okay.
getting all of that. And then it was a matter of that would have been in August, and then it was 4 months of me begging and talking to the alderman, talking to this or that. And I finally found a former chief of detectives in on LinkedIn, and I said, "Can you just get this through a channel and get it?" And then I got a call from his cousin that said we got him, and at the end of middle of
They
January,
arrested him.
yeah, they arrested him. Unfortunately, they didn't charge him with. They charged him maybe with manslaughter. He didn't get a ton of time. I think he maybe got 4 years or something, which sucks because he's back out there and he's just
Yeah.
he's a menace. Because like when I looked at I was doing searches. The way I was able to find him was doing searches for people that had aggravated assaults or anything or vagrancy or anything like that around that area, and he had a big rap sheet. So
So what they basically said what he did not cause the guys.
sort of,
Yeah,
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 pretty much, yeah. It was because it wasn't completely cut and dry. But I really think that because he yelled at all the people
yeah. To get away.
to get
Yeah,
away, he causes
he caused
death.
the death.
If the prosecutor would have done that, there was also another thing too, because Marcus Gaines was bisexual. He says in the video, "Get your faggot ass up." That should have been a hate crime then.
Without a doubt.
And then he would have gotten more, and I was pressing them to do it as a hate crime. They just didn't do it.
You wonder what is a lawyer? I mean, that's law 101. I mean, that's
You'd think, but listen. I mean, Chicago's got so many murders, and who knows what these prosecutors, these young
yeah.
prosecutors, are going through, and how much they just try to.
Do you get a lot of attention after that?
I got a little bit of attention, not a ton,
Yeah.
but then I just started. While I started doing that, really, I identified him in before August. So then I was like, oh, I'm going to start doing this more and more. And I started buying geo-targeted advertising because I got lucky with the first one after 15 years of writing stories that
Right.
I wasn't lucky. And then it was a matter of getting all of these people buying ads. You're buying ads on Twitter, you're buying ads on Facebook within the 5-mile radius. So I solved one right in November that was a murder around Halloween.
So you
at Jack
started
in the Box.
buying ads for where the crime was committed with a footprint. Yeah. Was anybody else doing anything
No,
like that?
no one ever did that
Yeah, that
before.
was-
Yeah. And I would not, because then the police would say, oh, I'd call up the police always, and I'd say, listen, I have a technique. If you're close with somebody, I don't want to spook them. So sometimes they would say I was close, and I'd say I'd back off. And then sometimes they would say, oh, we already have a Facebook page. But I was like, listen, no one's going to see it because I'm literally buying ads for this. And also, I didn't just I made a Facebook page for every crime. So it was that crime. So if you are from that neighborhood and you see murder on 123rd
Yeah,
Street,
you're gonna click.
you're going to click on say, oh, wait, yeah. So, solved one in El Monte. The guy was wearing a mask, was able to solve that one. A couple other ones. And then, but a lot of them did, the one in New York that still haunts me to this day. I saw this really clear video of a guy walking with a woman, and then walking away, and without the woman. You could see when he's walking away, he's smoking. A lot of times you can identify people by their gait, the way that they walk. That you can identify. You see the way he ashes. He ashes in kind of like a feminine manner. And I was like, I'm going to catch this guy in a week. And I probably spent $4,000 looking for that guy. And,
Where was it, Manhattan?
And she had died. He killed her in Owl's Head Park in Brooklyn. Kind of mutilated her in the right by the skate park.
So that you see them in the video walking together, and then what he
Then
leaves
he's
alone.
walking back. Yeah, he's wearing a tracksuit, and I did ads in Egyptian. People were saying, "Oh, that guy's Egyptian, Farsi, Spanish, obviously." But when you're doing an ad for a geo-targeted in Brooklyn, which is one of the most dense places in the
Yeah.
world, that's tough. It's a lot easier when you're doing it in some place that's.
Any good leads that you
I
thought?
thought
Or?
I had a couple good leads, and the cops really were into working with me. And invariably, what happens is that this probably 8 months into it, I got a message. No, there was a comment on there, and it just said that was my mom. And I was like, I'm gonna look at this guy forever. So
Yeah.
every time, like I would, then you a lot of times you're like, well, maybe somebody was visiting, or people that were missing that might have known him. So you put it up around Christmas. You put up a new ad, or you put up a new ad around
You still
Thanksgiving.
revisit it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and just trying just to see whatever. But right now, at that point where it's because it's so long ago, we're looking up around 10 years. That's going to be somebody confessing to somebody
Yeah.
else and then them building a case. It's more of a whisper
You
campaign
ever
after
get
that.
you ever get contacted by somebody's family after you had solved it?
Yeah.
Grateful
Oh yeah,
family.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. No, the one in El Monte, the cops actually gave me credit from the podium, which was great. That never happened before, and that
Yeah.
kind of legitimized it all. And then, I was able to go from there and be able to show other police departments that, because a lot of them were skeptical, and and I would say, listen, my own money, and I don't want the reward,
Mm-hmm.
because the reward is the carrot, so.
You must get after that happens a few times. You must have now people reaching out, sending you stuff. No.
A little bit, yeah, but the problem is that it was in certain police departments they would ask. LA Sheriff's Department, after I helped with that Almonte case, they started sending me everything, like burglaries, and I was like, guys, I don't want to do a
Yeah.
burglary, but I would help them just because I want to be on their good side. So, but not as many. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book, was just to show people, hey, this could be done.
You would think they would implement the ad.
It was
It's
so
so
easy to do, and unfortunately, it was easier to do back then than it is now, and this is the reason why. Um, we're talking about 2016 to 2019, that I was really, that was the real basis for the book. Facebook was still a thing. People were still on Facebook, even young people. Right
right.
now, Facebook is more about, you're in Facebook groups, or it's really old people that are on it. Young people aren't on Facebook.
No.
Twitter was a thing too. This is
Hmm.
before Musk got it and blew it up. So, and I used Instagram too. And people are still using Instagram, but a lot of them are using it really for stories, and it's a little bit more difficult to buy the ads. So, and then TikTok is very hard to buy ads that are geo targeted.
Hmm.
It's hard to do. So it was a lot more centralized. You were able and also people you were able to get connections if you want to do your own investigation behind the trying to pull them in. We just don't have that anymore, just because people aren't on Facebook. But still, it works. And if police departments just had like a $25,000 budget each year to be able to do that, they'd be able to solve it.
You would think if law enforcement teamed with these Facebook or Instagram, they probably would. You could find a way in,
Yeah.
a very low cost way in.
You would, yeah.
These companies would want to be involved, I would think,
It would be
in a
good.
good cause
It
like
would
that.
be good press for them, but then it also could be considered, Big Brother. Obviously, there's always going to be people that say that, but when you're dealing with family members that are grieving over a loved
Yeah, I guess,
one,
but
that's
it's a different thing when you have a crime on video. It's
Yeah.
not you're not accusing.
Oh yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
This guy.
Well, it's not necessarily a lot, but a lot of times though the crime isn't on video.
No,
a lot of times it's somebody walking and
it's the guy
they have
walking.
yeah.
Yeah. So I
And
had
then-
I had this kid LJ Ruggiero on. I don't know if you know. He's Rosanna Scotto's son.
Okay, I know Rosanna Scotto. Sure.
Yeah. So he was involved in this case in the city. Kid gets murdered in a building. I'm sure you know the story. I was not aware of it. My wife flipped out when she heard I was talking about it, because she's, into the crime show is her.
Yeah.
The murder. They killed the kid in the apartment. They threw him out the third story window of the building.
Yeah.
They rolled him in a rug or comforter. They threw him out the window so nobody would see him leaving through the lobby camera.
Mm-hmm.
But they saw him coming in through the lobby camera.
Yeah.
And he never left.
So where does he get? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
where does he go? So they threw him out the window, put him in the car, they drove him upstate, they burned him and buried the body.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid LJ had on, the kid who did it confessed to him,
Mm-hmm.
to Rosanna Scotto's son.
Yeah.
And then he testified against him.
Yeah.
But I said to him, Nobody saw a body falling
Yeah.
from a fourth story window in Manhattan. There's no video
Yeah.
from any, and there was no
Yeah.
video. There was no angle.
There's blind spots that I wanted to do this over in England, but England doesn't have a lot of murders, and when they do have a murder, they put 40 guys on it and they solve it pretty quickly.
They get it
because
done.
they don't have guns.
Mm-hmm.
But England's CCTV is so sophisticated because of when they had the troubles with the bombings from Northern Ireland and the IRA. They're all set up and they're all linked, and so when it's very easy for the police to just, when the timestamps are all the same. Here, we don't have that. And you have certain ones like the traffic cams, but you have like, you'll go to a deli, it's broken. You'll go to another guy. Oh yeah, we erased it. You
Just
go to
old-
another guy. Yeah,
old
it's all over the
grainy.
place.
Yeah, it looks like
and they're
VHS
not
tape.
synced up right. One of them might have the wrong year and the wrong day. And it's
There's not
just,
cameras all through the city that we don't even know about.
I mean, there probably are a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, it depends on where
I would think. I mean, walking into Madison Square Garden, they're taking the facial recognition.
That's just
9,000
next
times.
level. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for like. That's more like, that's not even terrorism. That's just like vendettas, whatever they're doing there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Whoever they're looking for.
Yeah,
man.
but like there are a lot of areas in New York that are probably being surveyed way more than others.
Yeah,
you know?
being a Long Island kid, I have to ask: were you following the Long Island, the Gilgo Beach stuff all along? Did you ever think?
I mean, being from when people would find out I'm from Long Island, they would have talked. They would say, "Oh, what about the Long Island serial killer case?"
Was there ever any footage of? Did anything ever exist where there was nobody?
No, there was the best shot would have been that he was calling some of the victims' families, and he called one of the victims' family, and then he talked to her. He was calling from a payphone, and that was over. He was doing it at MSG and by Port Authority. So that was showing to everybody that this guy lives on Long Island, that because he's probably doing it right before he leaves town. And we could have had but they didn't tape it. There was no audio of his voice, which was a mistake. They could have gotten this guy right after they found Shannon's body, and they really started looking for him. And the reason being is that how they got, they talk about like the pizza crust and everything. That's just to confirm it.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they got him is they went back and looked at their notes and said, the last known victim, she had rolled a John. So what she used to do is she would have a date with somebody. She would have two guys come in and say, "Hey, this is my girlfriend," whatever, take their money and then leave. Now this guy, the last one that they did, was 6'7", and he drove a Chevy Avalanche. First of all, nobody drives a Chevy Avalanche on Long Island. This is not a truck. It's also a horrible truck too. So you're telling me that you couldn't find a guy that's 6'7" that drives a Chevy Avalanche? It's not a ton. This is not a 5'10" guy.
And they gave
that's driving.
She gave that description.
Toyota Corolla. Yeah, their roommates did.
And nobody ran.
It was right there
for Chevy Avalanche.
It was right there for them, and they didn't.
And how much time passed after that?
When they finally solved it?
Yeah,
10 years.
Yeah, so how many other killings do they think happened in that?
I don't think any of them did because
Do you think they think that was his last one?
They think because it was finally they had found the bodies and he might have just started chilling out. Yeah, but who knows? He might have done one,
Yeah.
But like people can stop, the Golden State Killer stopped as well, but
but you don't know why.
Yeah.
Could be dead.
Could have been dead too.
Yeah, could have been.
Everybody thought Golden State Killer was dead.
Could have been incarcerated.
I mean, Golden State Killer, I think he stopped because he stopped right around the time that DNA was in the news.
You think
when the DNA was in the news, there was a case in Great Britain, and I think he was just
intelligent.
He was all about I don't want to be caught. That was what his big thing was. But with Huerman over here on Gilgo, yeah, he was killing people that nobody was looking for. And I went down all the, because I did a podcast and TV show on that as well. The problem with TV is that they don't they're kind of, there's two things that I really disliked about doing television is that there were questions that I wanted to ask to certain people that I wasn't able to because they thought that we'd get sued. And the great thing about newspapers, and this is one of the sad parts of America that's happening right now, it's been happening for the last 20 years, We literally have half as many newspapers
The
as we
death,
want. As we
and they're
want.
4 pages.
Yeah,
They're 5 pages.
but before that, newspapers would say, "Let him sue us." If it goes through, if you have your, the editor will talk to the
You
reporter.
feel
You
strongly
feel strongly
enough.
about this, run it through a lawyer, and then let him sue us. And that's what journalism used to be, and it was great.
TV
And
has
TV
no
does not do that.
no.
TV has no backbone because they also have a lot more to lose, sort of. But it's just
Hmm.
like, yeah. And the second thing is that you.
Were you told that?
Oh,
On
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I interviewed this guy who had gotten um, arrested for killing his wife and kids, and he's crying to me.
He
He didn't
confessed.
do it. He didn't
Oh
confess.
yeah.
No, some not even obviously his DNA is there because it's his wife and kids. But then another guy's DNA was found, and he was a former, when they arrested him, and he was out. This guy's crying to me. First time I almost cried on camera too with this guy. I felt so bad, and the guy that was they got him on like blood spatter evidence and just bad science. It was a show about bad, science. And I went to go interview the guy who had sent the guy to the independent forensics guy who had said, "Oh, this is the guy that killed him." And they were like, "You can't mention that case. You can only talk about the other cases." And I was like, "I just interviewed this guy, and he cried to me, and I think it's bullshit. What happened? It's like I can't talk to this guy about that. It was awful. I started veering towards it, and they were like,
Hmm.
"Oh, yeah." But
This was who you working for at the
that
time?
was a Discovery Channel,
Yeah.
something to see. Yeah. So
Overall,
investigation
how do you
Discovery.
view your time with Discovery?
I mean, it was just that
Was
that
it.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. Was I mean, the Gilgo Beach thing was decent. We went down the path of investigating the investigation because they had James Burke, who, was here, and like we did a door knock on James Burke, and probably taking the politicians to task was the best thing that I was most proud of there. But I did want it. I'm not saying I would have solved it, but I did want to go interview the roommates, those roommates. I don't know if I would have gotten to. I would have gotten to the 6'7" and the Chevy
Hmm.
Avalanche. I don't know if I would have gotten to, hey, can we now try to find a back door to run the plates of somebody from 10 years ago? It's a little more difficult. It'd be easier if it was going on now. But I think he still had the car. The car went somewhere. I don't know. But it was there. It was sitting right there for everybody to solve.
I mean, the house was sitting there for everybody to see. Man. I
Well,
mean,
there's that. Well, there's that too. But any house can look like any. I mean, look at
yeah,
Joel Rifkin. East Meadow.
crazy.
So I happen to go to a school district that had two serial killers. You had Robert Schulman, and you had Joel Rifkin, and it was all growing up on Long Island. That definitely one of my first memories was Son of Sam, who we call the 44 caliber killer.
Yeah, I mean, I lived right by Eliphas,
Yeah.
the nightclub.
Mhm.
So, I mean, in Queens. I mean, I lived
Yeah.
minutes from there, and a kid. I mean, I'm a little kid at the time, and the summer that's the whole summer. That's all I remember.
77.
From that summer.
What an amazing when people tell you there's a great parlor game. If you could go back in time to one era
Yeah.
and one city, where would you go? A lot of people say 1920s Paris or 1968 London, 77 New York.
Grassy Knoll.
77 New York.
77 New York. I try to explain to people. 77 in New York in Manhattan was a Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
Every day, all day. They think, they see these movies. It was a Scorsese movie. We would take the train into the city as a teenager, like 12, 13. I would take the Q15 to Main Street, Flushing, and I would get on the 7, and we would take it into the city.
Yeah.
And we were 12, 13 years old.
Yep.
We'd be walking around. It was,
Yeah.
it was incredible how much danger we were in. We didn't even realize.
The fact that a third of the police department had been fired. So they literally, a third of the police department had been fired. Then you had the blackout, and then the riots from the blackout. You had the Yankees, which were going on that crazy run, and they were in the paper all the time because Billy Martin was fighting with Reggie Jackson and all of that. You had Son of Sam, and then culturally, you had the birth of disco uptown at Studio 54, and then you had the birth of punk going on at CBGB's downtown.
Yeah.
You won't find that collection of everything that was going on. And like when you watch The Warriors, which was filmed around that time, it's kind of similar to that. It wasn't. I mean, people weren't wearing those crazy outfits,
Right.
but that was kind of similar. So then, but then, that was the big thing that happened in New York, and obviously New York had, uh, Bernie Getz happened in
On the
the
train,
'80s, and then you had the Preppy murder and that kind of thing,
Chambers, right?
Robert Chambers. But in on Long Island, then you had obviously Amy Fisher
Joey Buttafuoco.
and Joey Buttafuoco. Then you had Katie Beers, the little girl who was kidnapped, and that whole thing. You had Ricky Casso, since we're in Northport. Yeah, that was the "Say You Love Satan" case, when
Mm-hmm.
really it was just an LSD deal gone bad. But they ran with the whole Satan thing, and that was that gazebo in Northport,
Down by the water.
down by the water. That was where somebody had written "Satan Lives," but of course they spelled it wrong, so it says "Satin Lives." That was like a major image that you'd see there. Yeah, there's a lot of misspellings in crime. Obviously, Robert Durst, that was a famous misspelling when he misspelled Beverly Hills wrong. Everyone's like, "Oh, he did it then." Helter Skelter was misspelled
Mm-hmm.
wrong, and during those murders. So, yeah,
Yes, the Son of Sam stuff was it takes it's like a snapshot of a certain part of my childhood
yeah,
that I can remember the music.
mm-hmm.
Like I can remember what was happening at that time. I can remember the songs from the summer. Really was a real snapshot. I also there a couple of years later for me in Queens. You might not remember the name. A friend of mine who I was in school with. We were in my pool, and it was nighttime. We were in my pool. We were one of the only families in Whitestone, Queens, to have a pool. I mean, it was, the pool was this big. We'd all stand in the pool in the backyard. A helicopter came down over the pool, put the light in the pool. We were almost like an alien abduction. We had no idea. And the next day, I found out my friend Leo, his sister got abducted. Antonella Mattina,
Oh,
her name was. Um, Back then, you could let your kid walk to the store, to the
mm-hmm.
bank. How many times my mom said, "Go down the corner, get me a pack of cigarettes."
Cigarettes,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Go get me a pack of cigarettes, right? The mom sent her with a bank deposit to
Oh,
put in the deposit, and she was very. I mean, I don't. I'm gonna guess 11, 10
yeah.
or 11 years old. She turned. The bank was right around the corner, Parsons Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Bank was right around the corner from their house. She went to the deposit, never came home. And I remember my Flushing, Whitestone, Bayside for that whole period of time was that was the thing.
Yeah.
All day, every day, it was focused on her. And no, they never found her. And then they found her. They found her remains 20 something years later, upstate.
Yeah.
They identified.
Did they catch who did it?
No,
No.
never caught who did it.
I mean, there's so many.
Well, there's got to be more unsolved than
Yeah.
there are solved.
There's about 250,000 unsolved murders since 1980.
Since 1980, 250 unsolved.
Yeah, there are. They have solved more than they did, but it's very easy to get away with murder, primarily because um, we've got, and it's easier now than it was in 1960.
You would think that would be the opposite.
Yeah,
with all
because of
with all the
DNA and
cameras
everything like that.
Just,
but
just cameras,
yeah,
phones.
and they were also beating the shit out of people
What-
and getting false
what-
confessions too. So
What makes it easier now than back then?
we don't have enough detectives, especially in the it's crimes. I'm sorry, of course it's crimes. It's guns is the first. There's way more guns now than ever before. It's drugs and the drug trade and all of that, which ties into the gangs because most of these are street crimes.
Yeah.
It's not somebody killing somebody.
Is the
that
amount
they
of
know
murders way up?
No, murders are down.
Right.
Yeah.
So murders are down, but solving them.
But solving them is down too.
yeah, which is
And then also, it's a transient population. You used to know your neighbor, and everybody knew everybody and everything.
Right.
But people move around and everything. Nobody talks to each other. So
not even the people that move around. I have
Yeah.
neighbors I don't know their name.
yeah.
is
So
sort of
that those are really the three biggies there, and also a distrust in the police too.
Is the force? Are there less actual homicide detectives?
No, there's more homicide detectives
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
but it's also harder to get a conviction too, because the defense lawyers are a lot more buttoned up in defending somebody. So you really have to do a lot in a case. I did I don't want to say it was easy work. I was finding a needle in a haystack, but then they got to build a case against this guy. It's not just a matter of, the Jack in the Box one was kind of easy, and the Marcus Gaines one in Chicago, but there were a couple others where it was just you really had to prove that the guy did it, and he was definitely in the same place, and
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. So.
Anything right now that you're really hyper focused on? Any case?
Yeah, there's one in Philadelphia that I've been. There was this kid, white kid. He went to a board game night at a bar, was walking through the Drexel University area, and
Student?
no, had just graduated. But some kid just is walking past him. Kid's a black kid, very thin, looks very young. He's got a mask, like a COVID mask. He just walks past him, and then he turns around and shoots him in the back of the head. And then while he's running, he's like shooting behind him. And I
Not
thought,
gang related.
there's always that thing of, the gang initiation of whether, and that's what people were thinking,
Right.
could that have been? There's no weird connection between this young black kid and this dorky white kid kind of thing. God rest his soul. But I keep on, revisiting that one and trying to get something with
Do you
there.
remember the kid's name? The kid's name was kid?
Yeah, it's way back in my memory
Yeah, it
right
was just
now.
in case
Yeah.
anybody wanted to just go.
Yeah. No, I can put the link underneath.
Yeah, just in case anybody wanted to go check it out.
Yeah, but it's
So now
I
something
still
like
talk to the guy's family and everything. So
something gets your attention like that. Now, do you take the do you
one
go
of the things, yeah,
all
I
in
mean, it's a
again?
little. One of the things I do is this is my process. I have a Google alert set up for it's usually surveillance, murder, unsolved, or looking for information, something like that. And then I will see stuff that comes up, and then sometimes, every 3 or 4 days, it's a decent video. It's like, oh, okay. I'll wait 2 weeks, and then and then I'll look back again, and usually they'll have
They'll
found
have
the guy.
something.
If they haven't, then I'll dig into it and then start that whole ball rolling again. But it's a matter of a lot of times I'll see a video and I'll be like, oh, they're gonna catch that guy.
You ever think your story itself, not the story of a murder, you and the process would make a great screenplay? The story of you.
You know what? My book was optioned by ABC, and they hired the guy that was like written stuff for Ben Affleck. So it was the guy had written or co-written like Gone Baby Gone and like the Town or something.
Right.
So and then I was thinking, oh, maybe Ben Affleck will play me, and but they wanted to do a TV show.
I mean,
on
it would be a perfect cast.
Yeah, they wanted to do a TV show on it. Then they wanted to do and I was just like, I knew they were going to change stuff, and I said the biggest thing is
Did they start developing it?
a little bit. They said, I said, listen, you could change me, make me a woman, make me gay. I don't care, but don't have me being young. You know what I mean? Because the whole point of the book and it was just like I had gone through all of this for 15 years of not solving it, and it was just sort of like this finally happened. Then they they pitched me what they wanted to do, and it was having me live in Boston in the top of the Four Seasons. Like I was living in one of those apartments in the Four Seasons or the Ritz, one of those two. Maybe it was the Ritz. And like I had made a lot of money by doing this, which is
Right.
funny. And then they said that they wanted me to have messed up a case early in my career, and then they were going to have like the mom of the case come in, then like my character was going to start solving cases with that mom from that case or something. Which I was like, oh, whatever. It's just like if it
Right.
shines light on these other
It's
ones,
a story that's not your
if it
story.
shines light on these other ones, fine. Because
Yeah.
it's like, when you look at like Orange is the New Black, which they had been mentioning, the first episode is very much that woman's story, but then it goes off on these crazy tangents. So
Because I could just see that this could be episode after
but
episode. after
but a lot
episode.
of it though is because they tried to do a reality show about it too, and I told them a lot of it is just computer work, and a lot of it is like me on my phone or me on the computer. It's not as compelling.
Yeah, but you're sitting here talking to you for I don't know how many minutes. You narrating it would have been the compelling part.
yeah, maybe
Me
yeah.
hearing you say this night, that night, you explaining that to me, that's the compelling part of it. You telling the story. Listen, I watch these My wife watches these things. She'll watch any crime. Some of them are unwatchable.
Yeah.
Some of these shows are unwatchable. You could tell we're heading nowhere.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen. But the ones that are done well, what was the one I saw? What's Ramirez? What was his nickname?
Oh, the Night Stalker?
Night Stalker.
Yeah.
There's a recent documentary on
That
it.
one was good. I
I
did
was
watch that.
terrified.
Yeah, I did watch that one. That
The
was good.
what stands out to me is they allowed, when they showed pictures of the room, the house, nobody said a word, and they allowed it to breathe. There was silence.
Well, that's a biggie.
There was
Yeah.
silence where there should have been silence, and I said, "This is a professional. Whoever's editing this is a real professional," because I'm looking at this thing and nobody's stepping all over it,
Yeah.
talking, and they just played. Maybe there was one keyboard, minor key, a tone,
Yeah.
and you're looking at it, and they let it breathe for like eight seconds. That's an incredible one. But as I was hearing you talk, I'm just saying to myself, I'm envisioning this series with you in the beginning, talking about the case, and then not solved, and then at the end, almost unsolved mysteries style. Say,
Yeah.
if anybody has any,
That's what I. Yeah.
if
No.
anybody has any information,
Yeah. No. I pitched
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I mean, your voice, your cadence, the way you speak, it's meant for.
Yeah.
that.
It was funny because we did.
Do you ever think? I don't mean to interrupt you. Did you ever think to yourself, I'm just going to do this myself right now. I'm going to do episode after episode and put it out on
No,
YouTube.
no. This was, not really.
No.
And it was. I did have when I had the camera crew following me, and then somebody was interested in it. What was it? Maybe it was A&E or somebody. I don't know, but I remember they were having to recreate like me getting the tip. Like me getting the video of the punch out.
Right.
Like I literally was on
The
like a
recreation.
bridge. I was on a bridge in Chicago going, oh, like I was getting a slice of pizza and getting,
Right.
which was, so I had to act. I had
a
to
little
like
odd.
act, which was odd. And I wish I had that footage, but I know who knows where the hell that is. But yeah, no, it was just, I'd gone from doing, the first one I ever did was searching for DB Cooper. That was the first one I did, which was like in 2016 or
Really?
so. Yeah, DB Cooper
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
How deep did you get into that, man?
got pretty deep. They closed the case. They actually told us. They said, "We're going to do this." It was a History Channel thing, and they paired me.
You're
with
in it?
Yeah, and they paired me with a former deputy director of the FBI. He was a nice guy, Tom Fuentes.
I may have seen it before I knew who you were.
And they said, the FBI said, "We'll talk to you, but we are closing this case after this." So the case is actually closed.
So their final decision.
Their
on
final
him
decision
was,
is we don't know, and we will not pick up the phone unless you have the money or the parachute. Because there's a lot of people that said,
Yeah.
"Oh, my grandpappy
Tips,
did it" or whatever.
tips,
It's just like,
tips.
yeah. So they will only pick up the phone for those two things. They actually shipped all the stuff that they had. They got the tie and everything. They shipped it to away from the Pacific Northwest in Seattle, and they shipped it back to
What's your
DC.
opinion? What's your opinion on?
My opinion is, I think the guy was definitely French Canadian or of French descent or had a French grandfather or something because he spoke French. Because the name he gave was Dan Cooper. It wasn't DB Cooper.
Right.
Dan Cooper was a French language comic book of a guy that jumps out of airplanes.
Really?
Yeah, that's like
Where
a
did the
secret
DB
agent.
come from?
DB just a lost in translation from the original report to one of the reporters.
Really?
Yeah. There was no DB. So the fact that he used Dan Cooper, it's almost like somebody doing a crime in China.
Did you read that connection somewhere, or you
No, I read somebody had put that
Somebody
together.
put it-
Somebody did doing in China and writing James Bond. It's just like, all right, in 1950, it's
Right.
like, all right, or 60. It's like obviously that guy is knows English or something. So I definitely think that's the avenues, and that's probably one of the reasons why we weren't able to ID him is because he might be either French or from French descent
You think
or
he
Belgium or
survived?
something. Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because being out on the, they put us on a plane like that plane that had the aft stairs, and which is the stairs in the back, which you don't see anymore. But so we stood out there, and it was like, imagine being 30,000 feet up in the air. It was raining, it was storming, the thing was really slippery. He wasn't wearing, he had the suit, but he didn't have anything else, and I think he probably landed in the water and probably got logged down, and maybe there was a river there that would go out to the sea and everything. We did all of that and checked it out. So it's kind of hard to think that this guy would we would have not heard from him because
Is that how you tied up the end of the show?
sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was like, it's tough to tie up the end of it, you know. And also, we were there to investigate somebody that had a um a guy that they thought had did it, and we poked holes
Who
in
was
there,
still alive?
who was still alive, a guy named Rackstraw, and we poked. It's like they never had, and I was interviewing the people that said it, and they had all this stuff. It's like, okay, he's definitely a compelling guy, but do you have him there? Do you have him in Seattle? You know, and they couldn't get him into Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you don't have him in that area, you got nothing. You know, and Tom felt the same way, and I don't think they had the right guy. Yeah, so. And they were kind of like doing ambush interviews with this guy, trying to like get him to, oh, well, did you do this or whatever? It was just not. One of the guys that was doing it was the guy that did the voice from Behind the Music. I remember
The same guy.
he had the same voice. Yeah,
VH1.
I should have had him do a outgoing voicemail greeting for me or something. But yeah.
All right, so let's go. I want to go. We're gonna go prior. I want to get the backstory to you as a kid, growing up in Long Island.
That'd be on Long Island.
Yes, I'm not from Long Island, so I live here now.
Yeah.
I am. I live on Long Island
Yes.
now, but
Yeah.
you're born and raised. You grow up in Westbury.
Yeah. In East Meadow, Westbury area.
Siblings,
Yeah. 2 half sisters. Yeah.
2 half sisters. You're raised with both parents in the house.
Raised with both parents. Yeah.
Yeah. They were
Pretty much. Yeah.
stayed together.
They split up a couple times, but then they got back together.
Stayed together. Just give me, where do you fall in the siblings? You're the oldest, youngest?
I was the baby.
You're the youngest.
Yeah, they were 9 and 7 years older.
So
So
were
and
they
they were kind of out pretty quickly too. So it
Were they
was-
paying much less attention to you as a
Yeah.
kid? You were left to
No.
your own
Not
devices?
really. No, my dad definitely paid a ton of attention
Yeah.
to me. So, and they were, you know, by the time I was 5 or 6, they were teenagers already. So they were just sort of doing their own thing.
Cool relationship with
Yeah.
your
there
dad?
was- oh yeah, no, my dad's relationship was that was huge. You know, he really did want to create a best friend, and that's why he, you know, and like he would take me to a lot of places that probably I shouldn't have gone to.
Yeah.
You know, seeing Animal House at 6 years old probably wasn't a good idea. You know, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
I remember seeing The Godfather as
Yeah.
a young kid in the movies.
Yeah, yeah. And but
Your dad
you know,
was from Long Island?
yeah, he grew up in East Meadow.
He
Yeah.
grew up in East Meadow.
So he had done, you know, he ran away when he was 15. He got went to jail for a couple of years.
Military guy?
No, criminal guy.
I think he
Yeah.
would have fell in that he would have.
No, he would have been there, but he escaped to He hid in Hempstead. He's like, I don't know why people are going to Canada. He went
He
to
hid in Hempstead.
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't really hiding, but yeah. He
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to go. I'm not going up there. Yeah, he did have his physical, and they told him to like turn around. He said, "Fuck you," because he thought like they wouldn't want him if he, you know,
Right.
wasn't big on authority. And then you know they called him back, and he never went. And he picked up a heroin habit around 19, 20, and then he cleaned up and re-met my mom. They were high school sweethearts, and then he re-met my mom. Yeah, so, but then he was, you know, he was.
How was he throughout his? Did he struggle with addiction or?
You know, I didn't know it was addiction because he would, you know, drive into Mets games. He would drink 3 beers going to the Mets games.
Not abnormal back then.
Then you know we would sneak beers into the Mets games because it was so expensive. He would have a coronary if he
Right.
knew how much they were now. So he'd be pretty loaded at those Mets games, yeah. And then he took painkillers. He took Darvon. So you know I have pictures of him. He would be in his seat, you know, coming home from painting houses, take a shower, sitting there with a Budweiser with the Darvon, watching ABC News with Bill Butel and Roger Grimsby, reading the newspaper. Yeah, that was him. You know that
What did he do for a living?
growing up, he's a house painter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his own painting. So I did that in the summer.
What did your mom do?
She was a homemaker, and then she.
How incredible! How
yeah.
incredible! I mean, let's just say it out loud. Your dad was a house painter, and he raised a family, and his wife wasn't a lawyer or a doctor. Like,
Yeah.
you guys, you lived in
Well,
East Meadow?
yeah, no, yeah, but I mean, he eventually started his own business. So we did like. We were middle class. Like we started out at lower middle class,
Yeah.
but then we were middle class. Yeah.
Yeah, but think about that today.
today. Yeah, no.
The mom stays home.
Yeah.
The mailman, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The mailman. My neighbor was a fireman, you know, cop, in Whitestone. Wife didn't work.
Yeah. Yep.
Sent kids to college.
Mm-hmm.
Bought a
That's
house.
the thing.
Always had
College
a
and stuff.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, on one salary.
Yeah. And then my mom became a guidance counselor, later on. But yeah.
Where did she work?
West Hempstead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good school
She was at
district.
Northport for a little bit, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Northport
Yeah.
High School?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very
Yep.
cool.
You
Yeah,
got
so
that big. I love that Northport cafeteria. It's huge. Yeah. I like that.
so your dad, you said something I found interesting. I'd never heard anybody say that before. Your dad created a best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
he was looking for
Yeah.
somebody to do things. Did he not have a
Not
brother?
really. No, he had brothers, but they were brothers. They would
Yeah.
always. He had an older brother that kind of picked on him a little bit, and I think that he very much, which was probably not the best thing to do, to talk to me exactly like an adult, with everything, and but it was great, and we used to go to, I learned two things probably writing the book, and one is that, because that's the way my dad was, is that he would be watching, he would always stop whenever there was a crime story, and I would be in between him and the TV. So you don't have to be Sigmund Freud to say that, like, oh, I was trying to get my dad's attention by becoming a crime writer. The second thing is that I realized probably 2 years ago that, like, oh, my dad wasn't probably that into the sports. He just wanted to spend time with me. That's why we went to all those games, So, we started going to games, the Jets in 78,
They're playing at Shea in
they're playing
78?
at Shea.
Yeah.
And then we did a little Yankees too, and then Yankees were just harder to get to, so we started going to the Mets in 82.
And by default, you became a Met fan?
Yeah, just because it was closer. It was a lot closer, obviously, living on Long Island. And then we had the Islanders, though, so we were there for that run and at all those games. And then we were there for, all of 86 and games. We went to game one, which was the 1-0 game that we lost.
Just you and your dad?
Yeah, and
How
then we went to
incredible.
we went up to Boston for game 5, and then we did game 6 and 7. Obviously, those were amazing. Yeah, so
That's incredible.
yeah, and we never bought tickets. Only we always bought tickets from scalpers.
Yeah, in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
and
Never buy tickets from the first guy you see.
yeah, exactly. And they all knew us by the end, though. First, they thought my dad was a cop because he had a mustache. And he's like, yeah, cops walk around with like a 10-year-old kid. That's what always joke with him. But yeah, no, and those are some of the greatest moments. And when they built Citi Field, I bought a brick that says "Who's got two?" Billy Jensen and Son, because that's what my dad would do. Who's got two? That was what
That's
you would ask for.
incredible,
Yeah,
man. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not the norm.
I
That's
mean,
not the-
certainly not anymore. I mean, I hate this. When we were talking about this before with the World Cup, just looking at SeatGeek and trying to see. Yeah, it's a lot easier, but it was so much cooler just to go to a game, not know where you're going to sit, and then meet a guy, and then meet another guy.
I was talking to my kids about me and my wife before we had kids. We would go to the Knick games all the time. I was at the Reggie Miller game.
Oh wow, yeah, that
It was
was
the
a
Reggie
biggie.
Miller game. I was at the last playoff game Jordan played at the Garden, and we didn't spend money. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't spend a lot of money, and we would just go get tickets outside
Yeah,
and go to these games. And they think it's like you're telling a fairy
Yeah.
tale.
we.
What do you mean you
yeah.
went to the finals
Yeah.
game? Yeah.
We got tickets for, like, when the Mets, when the Islanders swept the Oilers. We got tickets for Game 4, which was the night that they clinched the Stanley Cup outside. The only time we never got tickets was we went to a Billy Joel show, Nylon Curtain Tour, and then we tried to go the next night, and it was really cold out, and there was no tickets. Nobody was selling tickets. That was at Nassau Coliseum.
For both Billy, you
I went to the first one, not the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't find a ticket on
Didn't,
sale?
no, there was no tickets for the Billy Joel. That was the only time we did not, and we always talked about that was the only time we couldn't
I wonder what
get
caused
tickets
that.
out there. I don't know.
That's
But,
weird. But your dad, at any point, does the relationship become a strained relationship? Or you gotta
Never.
stay tight, always tight.
Always tight.
I mean, that's a
Always tight. Always tell them the truth.
that's a
Never.
fucking blessing, man.
Yeah. I mean, I did. I think I lied once about coming out to Huntington, going to a party. I had to hitchhike and do this, and I lied and said I was at somebody
How much?
else's
How
house or
old was
something
your
like that.
dad? How much? Like, when he had you, how old was he?
He was 25.
25 when he had you.
Yeah.
How was his relationship with your with the other?
It
Were
was
the other
not great, but it was
the
okay.
other two
Yeah,
were
the
his
other two,
kids,
no,
or
no, no, the other two were half sisters.
the other two were
For my mom's
your
side,
mom?
yeah.
So
So
you were his.
yeah, I was his only
Yeah,
kid. Yeah,
man.
yep.
That's that's an amazing thing. Your dad passed away. How old were you?
I was 25.
25 when he passed.
Yeah,
25 when he passed.
and that was 98. So he was 50. So, and he died of Hep C from the needles, probably from back in the day. So it
Really?
killed him. Yeah, yeah.
He got diagnosed at. Did
He
he?
got diagnosed probably like 6 years earlier. Yeah, and yeah, and I had come back to help him. Yeah, we also had a heart condition too, endocarditis, which you get from the needles as well. I'd come back to paint houses with him, kind of like save the family business, which I'm very, I'd gotten my master's degree, and I came back in 96, 97, and that was I'm so grateful I did that because I got to like work with him and
Real time.
in real time as an adult
Yeah.
and spend a lot more time with him. And then, he died in 98. Yeah.
How was the relationship with your mom?
It was good. Yeah,
You
it
had
was
a
very
good.
good. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But it was always stronger with my dad. Like me and my dad were the ones that like would go on, went on family vacations, but then like we went on, to Disney a couple times together.
Have you ever had any issues with substances? Anything? Have you dabbled in
Myself?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think it was like, well, I know when it was, tomorrow.
Well, I know you're a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah. But I had pills as well.
Pills as
So,
well.
um,
How long are you sober?
sober. Tomorrow it will be, God willing, it'll be 4 years.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
man. God
Yeah,
bless you,
yeah.
brother.
So,
Can I ask you what the breaking point was 4 years
oh
ago?
yeah, the breaking point was I lost my job at my podcast because I was drunk at a party and I like was hugging people weirdly and I apparently grabbed somebody's ass and I was a blackout drunk.
Yeah.
And it might have been because I was on Prozac, like learning about it now. I drank very fast. I drank hard liquor, and when you drink hard liquor, and you drink very fast. Like I was always two above everybody.
How long were
when
you
I
on
was
the,
out.
How long had you been on the Prozac?
I was on Prozac since I was 22.
And that was strictly anxiety,
That was depression and
that was a mood.
OCD.
OCD.
Yeah. So I would, the first time I ever blacked out was in college, but I wasn't really a huge. I was a daily drinker, but I wasn't doing really hard alcohol up until like 35. And then when I started working for a particular company, Village Voice Media, um, every meeting was in a bar. I don't want to blame that. There was a lot of factors. So, and then you start drinking, and I remember certain moments when I should have quit then. I should have quit then. You try to work on a time machine type of thing, and which obviously never works. But
Did your dad ever stop drink? Your dad drank.
he tried. No, I think he might have had to stop right when he had his heart surgery. Yeah, but
Is that something you shared together? You always enjoyed? Was
not
that
really.
part of the
No,
ritual, drinking
no,
together?
not really. No,
No.
no, it wasn't. We drank. We had a few beers a couple
No, I
times,
thought
but not
maybe
really.
that
Yeah.
was you felt the connection to that would
No,
be
no. Luckily, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my mom was an alcoholic too, so she got sober about 10 for I think she might have had 13 years, and she was in the program. So when I got sober, she passed away 2 years ago, but I got to be able to share the stuff about the program with her. So we bonded over that. We actually bonded over the program. Um, so, I was the child of two addicts, but I don't blame it on that.
Right.
It's just it's maybe not, like I say, it's not my fault, but my responsibility. And I had tried to quit once, and I went 45 days. But just it's a lot, especially with OCD and ruminations. You try and turn them off, and that was what you would drink, and especially at home. So. But I was doing really well for myself. I bought a house in the Hollywood Hills and I was fixing it up. But I was utterly depressed and started getting suicide ideations actually the year before. Really should have quit. Everybody tells you to quit.
Was that your first
Pretty
time
much,
feeling?
18 at 18 I did, but
What brought it on at 18?
18 was medical issues. I had this bladder issue, and I wasn't going to go to college, and it was a whole to do. And I ended up going to college, but it was an issue for a while.
How is I've struggled with some dark times, depression. I can't imagine how is the suicidal thoughts paired with the OCD.
Yeah, that's because you're constantly thinking about that, you know,
Right, it never
and it
stops.
never stops. And then you're thinking about images or how I'm going to do it, or like,
If you don't mind me asking, how close did you ever get? Did you
I called up, I made sure my life insurance policy was covered suicide.
right?
That's probably the closest that I got in terms of an action.
You never
I don't own a gun. I'm not a gun
right.
guy. I think if I did own a gun, there would have potentially been an issue. Um, you know, I was probably going to do by hanging, so it was going to be something along those lines. So I think, you know, and that's one of the issues, and that's one of the things that I work on now with younger men is the suicides, particularly men in general. You know, 80% of suicides are men.
Hmm.
And, you know, I was always big into trying to solve these murders. There's a little bit more murders now. Let's say but the lowest it had gotten about like 15,000 murders. 5,000 would be unsolved. There's 45,000 suicides, but you can't even mention the word suicide on Instagram
No, you get flagged.
or Facebook or
Yeah,
whatever. So, uh, if you were in a room and said, "How many people know somebody who got murdered?" You know, some people might say, "Yeah," or whatever,
hmm
like that, or like you always know somebody, but like,
No,
okay, a good friend who got murdered.
suicide's a different
But
game.
you say suicide, you know, I know very close friends, the former business people, people I worked with, people I worked for.
I've asked
Yeah,
people in conversation, personal conversations with people I'm close. I mean, I'm not having a conversation with a customer across the console table,
yeah,
but I've asked, and I said, you know, and suicide will come up, and when I hear people say to me, "I've never even considered it,"
mm-hmm,
it almost sounds like a foreign language to me.
mm-hmm,
When I hear them say it, I go, "Your whole life, you've never
mm-hmm,
thought about not being here."
yeah,
That, and they go, "No, I've never even considered." it." I think I couldn't imagine.
yeah,
I've struggled for so long. Luckily, right now, I'm in a real sweet spot in my life, man. And I can honestly say, uh, the battle with the depression, the time in between each thing
yeah,
gets longer and longer for me
yeah,
right now. But look, I'm 57, man. It's taken me a lifetime to
yeah.
figure this shit out.
And you know, and the you know, one of the leading causes when you look at men, any men, you know, it's in the top 10,
Hmm.
and it's even in the top 5 when you go look at young men, is suicide. And uh, it's something that trying to see, they're actually doing a lot of work in England with it. There's a group called How Are You Out of 10? It's called the Talk Club.
How's the suicide rate there?
I think it's kind of similar, you
Similar
know.
to here.
I mean, ironically, in third world countries, it's actually gone down because they've outlawed a lot of the poisons. It's a lot harder to get the poisons, so those rates have gone down. Our rates, especially because we have such easy access to guns
Hmm.
for men, um, our rates have actually gone a little bit up. They went down during the pandemic, actually, but the murder rate went up during the pandemic, but the that rate went down.
Which is
But it's not
shocking
great. Yeah,
that the suicide rate went
yeah,
down
yeah.
during
It
the
was sort of
pandemic.
like everybody was kind of you had a foreign element, you know.
You were
It's almost
distracted.
like you're being um, invaded, you know, almost by
Hmm.
this thing, and how do we fight it? And you're sort of like distracted
You
by
would have
that. Yeah,
thought that the people losing their jobs and things closing would have increased.
yeah, yeah. It didn't.
Couples
Yeah.
being locked in the house
Well,
together,
there's
you know.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
mean
know. Yeah.
the divorce rate went up, but
But yeah, no. So it's like I was um, you know, when you got, and then when I lost, there was but before the news came out that I had lost my job, there was like a 6 month period, and that was when I went really off the deep end, and I threw out all the rules that I used to have as an alcoholic. Don't drink, you know, before 5, and
right.
don't drink. I would always drink alone, so that wasn't it. But and then I decided, you know, I called up the suicide hotline. This was right before it went to 988. It was still the long number. And I remember thinking, like, I was saying, like, I'm just not in a good place. And then the woman said, "Are you in danger right now?" And then I said, "No." And then she transferred me to like the
Right. Then
lesser, which was kind of shitty in
a
a
little
sense.
odd.
And then the Good Samaritans were better to talk to, actually. And but then I was just like, either I'm going to drink myself to death or kill myself or go to rehab. So I went to rehab 4 years ago tomorrow.
You got fired because of the events at work.
Yeah.
And had you been in any 12 steps prior to that?
No.
Had you ever tried to never tried to get
No.
sober before that?
No.
So that you're
No, I did. I did. I tried to, I knew I had
you
an
hadn't gone
issue
to
and I tried
meetings?
for, I didn't go to any meetings though.
Got it. Yeah,
No.
that's what I was alluding to. Did you go into any meetings?
No.
When you started, so how long from that till you start going to meetings?
From rehab, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, rehab, you sort of, it was specifically was a rehab that wasn't particularly 12 step, even though we did have
Right.
meetings. So I went to meetings then. And
Did
then
the
I would,
rehab work for, did you feel like when you were there, this is really working for me? Because I've spoken to a lot of people that they go, I was counting the days till the fucking rehab
a
was
little
done.
bit in a sense where you're counting the days and they always say like, you should leave when you don't want to leave. That's one of the things, you know. And but I got kicked out at 25 because my insurance insurance ran out.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
You should leave when you don't want.
When you don't, when
I
you
actually
get to the point, because like I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna. I told them I was like, I'm not gonna be here longer than a day, and then it was like 2 days, and then you get into a rhythm of it. But while I was doing that, like my career was crumbling on the outside though too. So it was one of those deals where you know, and people that I had trusted were turning on me
Coworkers.
and putting on people that I had worked with.
Who were you
yeah.
working for at the time?
Just a bunch of different places.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and it was just a matter of, but I wasn't necessarily, when I look back at my life now, I don't have the opportunities that I have when I had then. Because the worst thing that happened was that my book got canceled, and then I had to get another publisher. That was bad because I had interviewed a bunch of families that had their loved ones had been murdered that were sex workers in Ohio, and that was the thing that I was honestly most upset about, that I had screwed up in this way. And then, but like personal wise, I'm much more happier now than I was then, you know. And but it took a while. It wasn't easy. It took probably until two years, I think, because I tried to white knuckle it on my own. I didn't.
You
have
were a fully
sponsor.
functioning addict though. The
Oh,
whole
100%.
You
Yeah,
were
I was doing
showing up
great. Yeah,
on
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just said you would drink alone. You'd get home at night and then just sit
Yeah.
and drink.
Yeah.
And were you using it as were you killing a pain?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, it was really to turn off my thoughts
Yeah.
more than anything. Yeah.
there you go.
So, and then it was almost like a compulsion.
And it
too.
worked.
Oh yeah,
You
it did
could,
work. It
well, you
works.
blacked out.
Well, but when you're blacked out, yeah, I don't remember it, but when you're blacked out, you're functioning, you're walking around, you're doing stuff, but you don't know what you're doing the next day.
Right.
You know, blackout's weird, and the people that have never blacked out before don't understand it.
I
Like,
don't
how can
know.
you forget this? And it's just like, it's just, you know, I've seen myself on video certain things, and I was just like, and I remember we had recorded the first time I remember blacking out. It was like in college that we replayed, like we were playing guitar and we were singing songs, and like somebody had recorded it, and on a tape cassette thing and replayed it, and I was like, I don't remember any of that, you know. That was even before I was on. That was
Right.
just beers. That was before I was. So I guess I had this proclivity to it, and then the Prozac apparently helps, and then drinking fast helps as well. So, you know, people just don't get it that like you can actually do that. You can not forget. It's interesting. I had never done a story about a wrongful conviction. And the very first one I ever did, it was a woman who was convicted of killing her boyfriend, but she had no DNA on her. And she literally, they had gotten into fights. They drank a ton, and they took a couple Vicodin, and they were drinking from like 9 until like 9 at night, like 12 hours. They were on a bender. This was in Southern California. And then he was like watching TV, and somebody came up behind him and hit him with a golf club. And the blood was everywhere, but she didn't have any blood on her. So, and then she also passed the poly too. And I was talking with her, and I remember she was in prison, and I had her 2 lawyers with me, and I'm talking to her on the phone. And I say, okay, all right, so you had 17 beers and this. And I was like, could you have blacked out? And then her lawyers jumped in and said, don't answer that. because if you black out, you could beat the
Right.
poly because yeah,
You could
yep,
be doing
yeah,
anything.
yeah. So she eventually got out. I don't think she did it, but she eventually got out, and we were able to help her do that. That was a rewarding case that I had worked on. It was one of my first TV things actually that was good. You can't find that actually because the TV again they somebody threatened to sue and then they pulled it off, so
Right.
it's not even on the air now. But when she got out, we did repost it.
You took right away to the meetings, to the 12 steps. It
No,
felt
but I didn't get a sponsor. And then I was not drinking, but I was still very depressed. And I said, let me try this with a sponsor. So I was looking for a sponsor that
never stopped the Prozac though.
never sought the Prozac
Right.
now. And looking for
Now
the
that's on you, as you have to find your sponsor.
yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
have to find your own
Yeah.
sponsor.
Yeah. You don't
Now
like,
you
well, you could
approach
go when you go to a
you
meeting.
approach somebody at a meeting.
Yeah. And they said, they'll say like, who wants to sponsor somebody? And people raise their hands. So, but I was going to all these different meetings trying to find a sponsor. I was like, I want to find a big guy. I want to find a guy that looks like I can kick my ass. Because
Right.
I was like, I don't think I could listen to it. This is my head and ego.
Yeah, yeah. Some
And I
small
found a
world.
guy that was really cool. And he was speaking at with a meeting that I was at. And I said, all right, I want what you have. And he said, all right, you got to do everything I say. I said, okay. And then I said, listen, I'm not really, the whole higher power thing is always the God thing has always been something that stopped me because I'm kind of an atheist, kind of agnostic, if anything.
How were you raised with? Were you
Nothing,
raised
no
with
religion, no
Nothing at
religion,
all.
no. My dad was Lutheran, my mom was Catholic, and they just didn't decided
So you didn't even do
nothing.
it. Right. No
No
communion.
communion,
Nothing.
no nothing, no. So and then I majored in religious studies because of that. I got my master's degree in religious studies because I was interested in why these people do what they do and that kind of thing. So we worked the steps, and my steps took. I did them probably faster than I should have probably, and I could always do them again, but it took about 5 months.
How long does it
And
usually take?
I mean, some people can do it in 3 months. Some people can do it in 2 years. They say
Right.
they take it. So, made my amends to people. Some of them accepted them. Some of them told me to fuck off, and that's going to happen. But the big thing is you got to clean up your side of the street, which I did.
How was your relationship with your kids at the time?
It was great. Yeah,
You had
they're amazing. Yeah, they were great. My wife was great, and it was just a matter of I had that support system, so I didn't lose that, and that was obviously
So
huge.
did you find? I know the higher power is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself leaning into that
Not
more and more, or
It's really amazing these guys that wrote these books, like these white Christian men. They basically say it doesn't have to be God; it could be whatever you want
whoever your
for the
God,
higher
whoever
power.
your power
Yeah,
is?
and it's just like you know what you can't handle drinking. You can, I can. It's like if I started drinking now, I would be done.
What do you think what do you think your higher power is?
Um, I think there's some sort of energy type of thing
Right.
to life. It's when I was doing okay, and then my mom passed, and then I was switching meds because I thought the Prozac wasn't really working, and then it got really dark because I didn't have that as well. That was really bad for depression, and then like you look back at your other depression, like oh my God, this is the real depression. This is what people are really talking about, and this is what nothing anybody said, nobody that could have checked in with me would have saved me or whatever. That was 2023, I think. And I
Was your mom sick or was
no, no, no.
sudden?
She had a stroke, just
Stroke
out of
sudden.
nowhere kind of thing. But so I went and I was trying anything to help. So I was trying EMDR therapy. I was looking into shock therapy. But I talked to my sponsor. I said, I want to try this. And I did the ketamine therapy at a place with the intravenous. And the biggest thing I got from the ketamine was like thinking that, which is really true when you think about it. This is, we could be on one timeline of a million different timelines. There could be a million Billy Jensens. There could be a million cake Duns that are out there making even better cakes than you make. And
I'm sure they are.
and then also there could be but also we are so insignificant in terms of time and space. When you think about that, there are more stars than there are grains of sand.
Mm-hmm.
And when you also think about that there are more cells in our body than there are stars.
You found all this came
This came from the
from the
ketamine. Yeah,
ketamine.
really. And it's just like, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Don't they- and
How
then
incredible
then
is that?
then we're gonna freaking die, and nobody will care.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like Mike Tyson got interviewed by this like high school girl, like right before, remember, he fought Jake Paul or Logan Paul, one of the two, and then he was like, "What do you want your legacy to be?" And he's just like, "When you're dead, you're just dust." He's like, "It doesn't matter, you know." It's like,
Whoever thought Tyson would become this philosopher?
yeah, yeah,
He says the most brilliant shit where
Yeah.
you go, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says the most brilliant shit. But I only ask because I was the same my whole life.
Yeah.
I went through Catholic school. I did communion, confirmation. I got married in the Catholic Church. But I never felt a connection.
yeah,
The deepest connections I had were with people. My grandmother
Yeah.
passed away. And the connection I had with my grandmother, she's the conduit for me
mm-hmm.
to God or to the higher power. My
Yeah.
grandmother passing, I can't explain it. And things that transpired in my life now over the past few years are the conduit to me knowing there's something.
Yeah.
There's something going on here. This stuff doesn't happen by accident.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make a cake at 41 years old for my first cake. And then
What were you doing before that?
I worked for Stuart Weitzman Shoes.
Stuart Weitzman Shoes.
High-end woman shoe company.
High-end woman shoes. You
not-
come in.
Not creative.
Not
in the
creative.
No,
You were-
I was in distribution. We were
Okay.
bringing the stuff in from Spain, dealing with customs, shipping all over the country. And all.
So you were actually Al Bundy. You were selling women's shoes.
No, I wish that would be more fun if I was actually in the store putting shoes on people. But it was great job, great paying gig,
Mm-hmm.
great company. I bought a great house in Northport, raising 2 kids, and the cool life.
Yeah.
5 weeks vacation, 401k,
Mm-hmm.
740 IL BMW. My wife had the big giant truck with the TVs on the back of the headrest for
Mm-hmm.
my kids. The Long Island life. Right?
Yeah.
Not knowing how unfulfilled I was.
Yeah.
I think I was just on the hamster wheel. This
Yeah.
is it. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And by accident, just a freak phone call from a friend, a close friend, who made cakes for everybody, knowing my artistic, I'm an art. My whole life I've been an artist, but never was able to make a living. She asked me to help her with a cake project.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she's like, you'll be good at it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And we made a King Tut cake in my kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe how easy it was. And
That's awesome.
How good it came out. And I took a picture of it, and I did nothing with the picture. And 3 days later, I just put it on Facebook. And I didn't, no aspiration, no visions of. And I just wrote, check out this cake. I made this cake. Check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend commented instantly on it. He wrote, you're the cake, Don.
Mm-hmm.
And I laughed, ha. And then little by little, people started contacting me for cakes on Facebook. Hey, I need a cake. Hey, I need a cake. All the people in the community started ordering cakes for their kids. And then a year later, I said, I got to go all in.
Yeah.
I got to do this. I got to go all in.
Mm-hmm.
I got to make cakes. And the depression from that point on to where I am today, the panic attacks, the anxiety, the depression, thinking about killing myself, I had never had any of that.
Yeah.
At this level. Feeling like you're putting your family in financial ruin
Mm-hmm.
for your selfish
Yeah.
pursuit of being an artist, it was paralyzing some days, man. I would be curled up in the bed. I was able to get up every day and go just fake it some days, but I made a deal with myself. I'm not going back. This is the plan.
Mm-hmm.
This is the plan. I'm not 27 deciding I'm going to make cakes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in my mid 40s.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, if you don't make this work,
Yeah.
like how many more reinventions are coming, which I didn't realize there's plenty of reinventions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to keep reinventing.
Keep going. Yeah.
But I got out the other side, and I've told the story a couple of times. I delivered a cake, behind a building near a Long Island train station. Not the train station. The railroad tracks were behind this building where I
Mhm.
delivered the cake. I parked, delivered the cake, and I came out. And the train is it's very significant for me. I'll always stop and watch the train just because I was a graffiti kid in the
Yeah.
city. I sat and watched this Long Island Railroad for 2 hours,
Mhm.
telling myself just get out and walk in front of the train.
Wow.
You're gonna do your family in the long run will be better off without you on the planet. You're you're not succeeding at anything right now.
Yeah.
I'm missing 3 mortgage payments, car payment. I'm running through the college money, and I sat and watched the train, and uh, shockingly, when I think back about it, I'm a very emotional guy. I could put the Jeff Buckley Grace album on, and I'll be brought to tears. Like I'll watch the first 15 minutes of the movie Up, and I'm bawling. I sat and watched his train thinking about this, and I was emotionless. There was not. I was almost just okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think this is it. And what snapped me out of it was my lack of being able to succeed at anything at that point. I thought I would live, and I
Mm.
would have to face my kids and my
Mhm.
wife and say, and they would be like, you weren't even able to kill yourself
Yeah.
properly. Like
Uh-huh.
you failed at suicide. Like you can't even. And I just couldn't do it. I was like, I don't even know if I could pull this off. And I got in the car, thank God, and I decided not to. But the um, the sadness, the depression, the anxiety, I can spot it on people now when
Mhm.
I make eye contact with them.
Hmm.
I could see it on you. I can almost feel it. Like I feel like a kinship.
Mhm.
Like we're from the same. I go, oh, I know that.
Yeah.
Like I can hear somebody talk about their job, and I go, I know that
Yeah.
energy. I could feel it. It's the most helpless, hopeless. You're in that round room. There's no way out, man.
Mhm.
There's no way out of it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
people that don't know it, and it's
No,
just
like I
like,
said, I
yeah.
talk to people and they go, I've never even thought about it in
Yeah.
my life. And I go, how
And
fucking
people
lucky
that
are
tell
you?
you to get over it, it's like saying get over diabetes. It's like, no,
No, there is
it's
nothing.
literally a thing. And it's not your brain. It's something in your brain that's lying to you, because when you think about this, survival is the biggest thing in the animal kingdom.
It's built in our DNA.
No other there might be some weird animal somewhere that kills himself, but no other animals do
Is
this.
jumping off the cliff.
Yeah, there's no yeah, the lemmings or whatever, but the fact that we have that, it's not us. There's
Do
a
you
liar inside of us
do you
somewhere
think
that's
do
telling
you
us
think
this
it's
shit.
because we have the ego, the male
I think
ego?
the ego is there. Yeah. I mean, my ego was so big because I was always like, especially towards the end there, but my ego was always there. But, like, oh, I solve, everybody else is doing just telling stupid, crime stories. I'm solving this stuff. And I would have an ego and a chip on my shoulder about that. And, oh, I'm a better writer than this person or this person and that kind of stuff. So, no, my ego was huge. And I think that's a big thing because we very much, especially in America, but really everywhere, losing the ego. And listen, it's always going to be there a little bit, but I think we are so separate, and we don't have community anymore, uh, like we used to. We are also so with digital and the way young men are using computers and everything and not going out. And they said right now that men have, what was it, something like, for like men having close friends is that the lowest it's ever been,
Mm-hmm.
and we're in a bad place right
There
now,
was
and
a
I don't know
there
how to
was
get
a
back on track.
there was an option for us. You too. You were on Long Island. I grew up in the city. I would come out to Long Island. There was a place to go every night of the week.
Hmm.
If you wanted to go out, you could go out every night of the week. These
And
kids now there's nowhere to
and
go.
even as a teenager, you can go to the roller rink. You can go to
Arcade.
arcade. You could go to mini golf. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of mini golf places. There's a couple of them are still
We hung
around,
out at
but
the movie
still,
theater. We hung out
movie
everywhere.
movie theaters. We would go to movies every week as a group.
Mm-hmm.
All pile in your mom's car. There'd be 6 people in the car, and those are those you learn how to talk to people too, which is a lost art. Um, And the ideas that are memories, because you don't have to memorize anything anymore. You don't have to figure out which way you're going because you have a map.
Yeah.
It's all of these skills that have just been wiped away, that were there for thousands and thousands of years, and now you don't have to use them. And now that we have AI too, we're in a really dangerous place. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like what I'm trying to do with the rest of my years is just trying to help people. And I get, one of the ways that you can get community, especially through boys or men, when I say boys, like anybody under 30, is, there's two things that they're into. They're into sports or into video games. Those are the two things. Yeah, you might have somebody, a little bit here into fashion. There used to be a lot more kids that are really into music than there are now. Music used to be, I was one of those kids. Like, that was the
Yeah, we would
identity.
bond over a
Yeah,
favorite band.
exactly, which is hard to do. You just don't see that anymore. And I think that, when you've got, with sports, there's that community there. And I've had so many friends that I've made through supporters organizations like Manchester City and through the Mets. And those are those communities right there. And I also, because I do recover out loud, I have a lot of young men, mostly women too, but contact me. I would say probably every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, saying like, "Oh, you inspired me to get sober." But then I over the last 6 months, there's been a lot of young men comment saying, "Can you help me because I've got a gambling problem?" And it was like the one pure thing that we had, which has already been taken away by luxury boxes and the prices and all of that, is the gambling
Yeah,
thing.
the
and
FanDuel.
and it's killing. It's just like that was the one. And sports was definitely a refuge that I went to. In 2024, I had finally started feeling myself again. I was at the Mets game when Lopez threw his glove into the seats and said, "This is the worst
Right, the
team
turning
ever."
point.
Yeah. Then I went to London and I saw the Mets play in London when we had, and one of the most amazing things about baseball is that you can literally see things you've never seen before, that nobody's ever seen
Mm-hmm.
before. That was what was it? A 2-3 double play to end a game. Never happened before. And that was amazing. We should have lost that game against the Phillies, but Torrance made an amazing play. That was the turning point there. And then, we all bonded. That's how I met you. That's how I
Yeah.
met, all of the Mets creators, the creator community, like J Mac with the signs.
Think about that, how that happens, the JMax sign. Do you know the
Yeah.
details behind
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yeah.
If he doesn't run into Alex
Yeah.
at the pregame
Mm-hmm.
party on Pride night.
Yeah.
So it's Pride.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive it's Pride.
I think, was it Pride Night? Yeah.
Because Jose's gonna
Jose sang that night, didn't
only
he?
if they win.
Yeah, it was only if they went. Yeah.
So they make a decision. If we win, we
Yeah.
let Jose perform the new single.
Yeah.
Alex takes the OMG sign to the clubhouse,
Yeah.
gives it to them. One of the Jose doesn't bring it out.
No.
One of the players decides to bring it out on the field while he's performing. Oh my God. And they're holding the sign up. And this thing becomes
Mm-hmm.
the thing.
Yeah.
It's the whole rest.
The whole rest of the
It's
season.
everywhere. It's every newspaper, ESPN, every news broadcast. It's that
Yeah.
image. If he's late coming to the game and doesn't run into Alex,
Yeah.
and doesn't give her the sign, and she doesn't bring it, the entire experience is entirely different. The rest of the year is different for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Our whole life is different because he got that sign.
Yeah.
there. If that doesn't convince you that there's a higher power
power,
at work,
yeah.
if you don't think somebody decided, I got to get this kid here, get the sign, and we're going to change the whole, it's all at play. But I think what a lot of these kids, these young guys, they've been raised because of our generation of parent. Because of what we went through as kids, we made the pendulum swing so far the other way. We're going to protect these kids from any disappointment, any bullying, and we're going to be the buffer. They can't handle rejection or disappointment. And I think they'd rather isolate than even consider being rejected.
Well, and I think that we've given them the tools to isolate. You can still isolate
How
and
easy
still
now.
play these amazing video games.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, and like, look at the schools too. It's just
And
like,
be in a community.
yeah,
Be on, you got the headset on, we're playing video games together. There's a full sense of community there.
yeah. Yeah, and it's just like, face to face stuff is so important, and it's like with that OMG, and then we had Grimace too, and that
You
sort of
couldn't make it up.
as everybody started galvanizing, and I remember going to the watch party,
The Milwaukee game.
for the Milwaukee game.
It's one of the
And
greatest Met games I've ever been at.
yeah,
And there was no game on
there
the
was no
field.
game. And we were there, and it was great because it was all obviously real fans because it was $10. There was no other fans there. It was just Mets
Right.
fans. We're all in one side. And I was stress eating, so I got the popcorn in the helmet, and I was like gonna throw it away. And I was like, maybe something will happen. So I kept the helmet, and I was sitting right in the front. And then Pete gets up, and remember, Pete had dropped the foul ball. He had stumbled out of first. Everybody was like, "Let him go!" Like everyone was like,
goat.
the way we
The
used to call
opposite
it
of
goat.
yeah. He's the goat.
Yeah.
The negative goat.
And he hits that home run, and then I put the popcorn up in the air, and the popcorn goes, and that actually I didn't realize there was a camera on us.
You're behind home plate.
I'm
You're
no,
the
well,
popcorn?
it was actually behind
The dugout.
the dugout. No,
You're
that's
the
me.
popcorn that goes
I
up?
was the popcorn guy. Yeah. And
Yeah, that's a great clip.
and just jumping, it felt like Game 6 which I was at as well. And walking out, I remember saying to myself, I'm so glad I didn't kill myself because I wouldn't have experienced that. And that was something that, like, and I went to every playoff game after that. Took my son, my son's not a baseball guy. I dragged him to Game 6, and we sat in pretty decent seats. He ended up catching
Which
a foul
seat?
ball
In the Dodger?
with the Dodger one.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we just ran out of gas and their team was
Terrible.
just too good. But just like those amazing moments where
You can't count them that year.
Yeah. No,
The
so many.
Lindor grand, like the
Lindor Grand Slam,
a Winker home run. There's just endless.
the game the game in Atlanta, with clinching in Atlanta.
Insane.
Obviously, the Pete thing was the biggest thing. The Lindor Grand Slam, the Pete home run in Game 5 against the Dodgers was big. Remember the kid in the 7-line section caught it. He had made a great catch. And we just sort of ran out of gas, which is unfortunate. But then, like, yeah, I met Alex too then, and like I last year I was up in that box and was able to watch a game from there and then meet a bunch of people, and just like the amount of the guys that do the songs, Max the Rally Pimp, who's a young kid
Good
who
dude,
who
man.
really knows the game.
really good dude.
And really like thinks about the game like you would think he was 60 years old. He's like 23 or something ridiculous. So I've sat and a lot of times I'll get and one of the things that I like to say is that it's not whether you win or lose, it's who you watch the game with.
I agree, man. I'm lucky enough. My both kids are Met freaks.
That's great. Yeah,
They are. They will give me news before.
That's
like
great.
I'll get a text. I got the Peterson. The Peterson
Yeah,
news.
yeah.
Like they are freaks. And Father's Day just passed, and my youngest actually wrote in the card about concerts, going to Met games, and what the ones will be in the future. Looking forward to the ones we haven't gone to yet.
Oh, that's great.
We've gone some of our most special moment. That watch party. Besides that, I tell people before that the greatest Met game I were ever at was a loss, and you might be able to guess.
Yeah,
The end.
it was the Andy
Chavez
catch.
catch. The Chavez catch.
Which was amazing, and then it turned into
That was the greatest game you happen to have been at.
I was
World Series.
I was lucky enough
I
to
was
be
not
at-
lucky
yeah.
enough to ever be at a World Series game.
Yeah.
I didn't have a family member that was into the Mets.
Yeah.
I was just a Met freak because I lived so close to Shea Stadium. The Andy Chavez game was the greatest game I had ever been at.
Yeah.
The energy I felt in that stadium.
And then to see it deflate like that, though.
You don't lose that game.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not a chance you're losing that
Well,
game.
that's the thing with Game 6. Everybody talks about Buckner. After the wild pitch, not only were we not losing that game, we weren't losing the series.
Yeah.
Like everybody in that stadium. And remember, in Game 7, we were down 3-0 in the 6th inning. We were not losing.
Never in question.
Nobody questioned
But that's
it.
how I felt in the Chavez game.
Yeah.
You're never losing this game. The building was about to
The
collapse.
strength to be there.
The building was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
building was about to collapse, man. Yeah,
And
and
yeah, it's
but the
yeah.
community around that kind of stuff is getting lost
Hmm.
on the younger generation.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but I also feel it takes one good friend, man.
Hmm.
You don't really need. It's nice to have a community of people,
Yeah.
but it takes one really close friend,
Yeah.
man, to snap you. That can really snap you out of it. Somebody you really trust. That's why I think about often, and I mention it often. All these guys that I was attracted to for whatever reason, their music, what they did for a living. Bourdain, Chester from Linkin Park,
Hmm.
Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. They all resonated with me before they
Yeah.
killed themselves. I'm attracted to that energy. If any one of them, how long did they think about doing that before they did it? This
Yeah.
was not a spur of the moment.
No, no, no. It wasn't. Bourdain had talked about it a ton.
Always he would kid
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
episodes that I wonder how much weight
Yeah.
a rope hanging from that could carry.
And
I mean,
if you listen to Chris Cornell's lyrics,
every lyric is about
yeah,
suicide.
yeah,
And Chester was a really
yeah,
tormented soul. But
yeah.
you think I've been alone, isolated,
Yeah.
really. A phone call from the right person at that moment.
Yeah.
Say, I love you, man. Yo, let's go
Yeah.
to the Met game.
Yep.
Let's go watch a soccer game. Let's get a burger, whatever. It could have.
You never know, and you never want to blame yourself for not reaching out.
Yeah.
I literally had somebody text me the night that they died by suicide.
A good friend?
Yeah, and she she had asked me a question. You're coming because for my book tour, are you coming to Houston? I says, yeah, I'll be there. Are you going to be there? And then I didn't hear from her, and then
No inclination, nothing in the message
no,
that was.
no. But
Yeah.
then you're thinking, I should have just
Pick up
said
the phone.
something else or
Face-
something. Yeah, but you can't live your life like that. But
No.
but yeah, no. I wanted to start this thing even before this happened. I wanted to start a thing called Project Reach Out, which is just Project Check-in. Sorry, Project Check-in, where it's just really just like checking in on people. And I do it to a certain extent. I should do it better, but it's just. And one of those things that Britain company is doing where they say, don't ask somebody, how are you doing? Say, how are you out of 10? Because if somebody says, I'm like a 7, you're like, okay, good. But if somebody says like a 3, I'm like, all right, what's going on?
We got to pay attention.
Because guys will always say, okay, no matter what.
Well, we say it.
But if you say, how are you out of 10? I think that's really effective.
And there's only. I mean, I don't know how honest I would have been with a stranger with that.
Mm-hmm.
If a stranger asked, if somebody I didn't know that well, but I have people in my life who've asked me, I'm totally honest now.
Yeah.
I am. I've realized the worst results I ever got was from burying it and trying to kid myself. And
Yeah.
and I really would put myself in some bad places. Now
Yeah.
when I'm honest and I'll send a text, I'll text my wife and go, I'm not feeling real great today.
Yeah.
Today's not the day. Really feeling it. I don't know why. And I just let it, I sort of talk about it. And
That's
now
good.
it opens up her to be now maybe a little extra attentive, maybe she's not going to break my fucking balls today just because she knows. It allows the other person that you're in it with to just maybe pump the brakes a little bit and treat it with the respect that it deserves. Let me not say that. I'm not aware of any suicide in my family.
Mm-hmm.
There may have been, because the generations before us, they hid everything.
Yeah.
Everything was a fucking
Yeah.
secret. So
Yeah.
there may have been suicide and I just don't know about it. So I have nothing in my family, but I don't know if it's hereditary.
Yeah, I have a great grandmother that was like never really talked about, but
Yeah. You
but
think?
she did. No,
Oh,
she
she definitely did.
definitely did. Yeah, yeah. But then I also look at my most of my grandparents like lived until like 100, and I'm just thinking like, well, if that's true, I'm halfway there.
Right.
That's nothing. So
And I think and at this point with the modern medicine, we may go
we
further.
live for a long time.
We may go
and
further.
we don't have the money for it though,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's going to be because these younger kids, our kids, they're not having kids.
No.
So the older people are going to start outnumbering the young people, and I don't
Yeah.
know who's going to take care of the old people.
It's
With all the traveling you do, because we follow each other on social. I see you're everywhere. You're all
Mhm.
over. Do you find meetings wherever you
Oh,
go?
yeah.
You can find a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
What
You
is
can
the
always find a
what is the
meeting.
network to find them? Like you're in
There's an
England.
app, for anywhere in the country, there's an app, which is great, and it's called, Meeting,
What about
and there's a picture of a
overseas?
chair. When you're overseas, sometimes you just gotta Google it, and then there'll be a website. I
Right.
wish there was an app for it, but, like, in Barcelona, I found an English-speaking meeting. Met some good guys there, like, we were chatting about the World Cup now and
Right.
stuff. When I was in, I got my 2-year chip in 2024 in, Cologne, Germany, in a meeting that was all in German. And my chip is in German too.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So it's cool. Yeah, I love going to meetings where tomorrow I'll be in Detroit. I'm going to find a meeting in
You go to a
Detroit for
meeting.
my 4-year. Yeah.
Do you go days without a meeting?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now I do, and I do some online stuff as well.
Do you find it brings you back to
A little bit.
it?
Yep.
Do you find something
Yeah,
that you're
and then
like,
everybody is.
I
Yeah,
needed that? Like,
yeah, and you also that's also a support system because you know a lot of the
right.
people there and everything. So the in-person meetings are great, like especially the fellowship you have afterwards. You go out to eat, you smoke cigars,
Mhm.
you do that kind of thing. So, and AA is one of those things where it would be good for anybody in terms of uh, just for how to live your life, even without the
Mhm.
alcohol problem. You know.
Well, I say that about organized religion as well. Even if you don't believe in the product they're selling in that building,
Mm-hmm.
if you follow the rules
Yeah.
that they're telling you to follow, you will have a better
Yeah.
quality of
Yeah.
life. If
I
you
mean,
treat your neighbor
the
properly,
golden rule is one of the greatest things that you can think of.
mhm,
So
yeah, even if you're not buying into the story on the wall and in all the
yeah,
artwork. If you listen to what they're telling you to how to conduct yourself,
yeah,
you're
yeah. And if it wasn't for that, we could have complete chaos.
right. You'd
You
be a
know,
better that may be the whole basis of why they did it, just to get people
I
to
think it was part of it.
yeah,
It was to
with the
control
fear.
people. I think originally it was to explain
Because
things.
I can't. Well, you can't combat it.
No,
If I tell you after you die, if you don't conduct yourself properly, you're gonna go to this other place. How do you?
no, you
How do
can't.
we
You
argue
can't
that?
disprove it.
Right.
You're
So
just gonna say,
it's the
okay,
perfect argument
yeah.
because you can't.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a way to control people. At first, it was a way to explain things, just
Hmm.
particularly explain death, but also explain, thunder. When you think about the Norse gods and that kind of thing, or the Native Americans, there was always,
Yeah.
and also then it turned into a way to, okay, well, how can we manipulate it? How can we, then do a rain dance because we need rain, that kind of thing. So, um, that's the reason why I studied religion in college. My dad's like, you're majoring in what?
Yeah.
But it was because of that.
I was going through a real dark period, and I enjoy hiking,
Mm-hmm.
and I had never listened to Christian music in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It just was, and I'm a musician.
Mm-hmm.
I had never, just wasn't something I was even. I would never find my way to a Christian
Yeah.
artist. And have you ever hiked? You ever gone to Cold Spring Harbor?
Sure.
There's a trail in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty special place, and I would go there, and I isolate. I like to be by myself. I like
Yeah.
to put a backpack on, put my headphones on. I'm an only child, so I'm very comfortable getting lost for hours. And you know how Apple Music recommends stuff and
Yeah.
Spotify recommends stuff? For whatever reason, on this day, I'm in it. I'm in the midst of it.
Mm-hmm.
It recommends a song called Refiner by Chandler Moore. I didn't know who Chandler Moore was.
Yeah.
The name Refiner, it wasn't Jesus Loves You.
Yeah.
It just said Refiner, Chandler Moore. And I trust that because the recommendations on Apple and Spotify remind me of the old listening stations at Tower Records,
Mm-hmm.
where we would go and you could listen to the new stuff before you bought
That
it,
was great.
right?
That was huge.
I can hang out at Tower Records all night. I found some of the greatest albums I've ever had
I
in the listening station.
People don't understand. I used to pick before they had that. I used to pick records based on the name of the band
The cover.
or the cover.
Yeah.
And I found like there's a band called Ride, which is a shoegaze band from England. I found them that way, and Innocence Mission, which is a little twee band. I found them that way because of the name. Now. I spent a lot of money on bands.
On shitty albums with good
And then you
covers.
try to sell them,
Yeah, no,
and then you get $1 for it or whatever.
nobody's
Yeah.
taking it. Yeah, but
yeah.
it recommended this song, and for whatever reason, I clicked it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say it lightly. And hopefully one day I will meet Chandler Moore. At that point in my life, Chandler Moore saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to you, I went down the lyrics of that song spoke so directly to me,
Yeah.
not on a church, let me put my palms to the sky. I went down a rabbit hole of his music, and for whatever reason, this kid's lyrics and his voice, and it was exactly what I needed at that moment.
Right.
It brought me, and there's been albums like that throughout my whole life
Mm-hmm.
that have gotten me through. There are movies, books, things I've read. He found me at the right time, and it didn't make me go to church.
Yeah.
It didn't, but the power of that music, I can honestly say, it every day brought me out of. I almost got obsessive about it. I stopped listening to talk sport. Like I listen to no.
Mm-hmm.
I love listening to sports radio. I like
Yeah.
to listen to these guys. I like to listen to podcasts. It was what I listened to every day because I felt it was almost a painkiller for me,
Mm.
and it brought some clarity to me. And I'll tell people, find whatever that thing is,
Yeah.
man. Whatever that thing is for you. But I got two things for you, and then we'll end it, Bill.
Okay.
From here forward, what's your trajectory now? Where you working on anything now? What's
Yeah.
the future look like for you?
I have two things going on right now. One is working on a book about heroes, ordinary people in heroic situations, people that rushed the gunman, basically. There was a case.
How deep are you into this project?
About a third of the way through.
Got it.
Yeah.
What made you? What was the one thing that?
There was a case in England of there were these three Islamic terrorists that drove down London Bridge and ran into a bunch of people, then got out. They had knives taped to their hands.
This is
and
not too
started
long
stabbing
ago.
people. This is 2017. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Start stabbing people. They killed 5 people, and they go into a restaurant, and everybody went away except for this one guy. And then one guy, the guy yelled Allah Akbar and stabbed him in the stomach. And then he said, "Fuck you, I'm Millwall," because he won't say he's a hooligan, but he's kind of a hooligan.
Right.
And he just started punching him, and he fought these guys back and saved all the people in the restaurant.
Lived.
He lived, yeah, got his ear cut off and a whole thing. And
What's his
that
name?
was
What's the guy?
Roy Larner, his name is, yeah. And I really that resonated with me, and then I just started searching for other ones and found other stories. So I've been going around the world interviewing people like that. And
What's the common denominator with the fight or
I've
flight?
been- you know
the
what?
fight or flight
Yeah.
gene. What's the?
You know what? It's really, I've been trying to find that, I think it's definitely people that have faith in something other than themselves. This guy wasn't religion. It was his football club, Millwall. It's just like, it's something bigger than you. There was another guy that was really into religion. And so it's very much that. Also, I will say for the gun ones, almost exclusively, it's when the person is reloading.
You see an
Yeah,
opportunity.
when you see some sort of an opportunity there, it's when the person is reloading that people, try and get on them. So I'm working on that, and also the second thing is starting a magazine called Wagon, which is about sobriety and second chances and that kind of thing. And I really love print, so
You're
it's
actually going to put out
yeah,
an
print
actual magazine.
Yeah.
What's the pathway to doing that? Now you have to self-fund that, or
Yeah, I got to self-fund it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not necessarily going to make a ton of money or anything like that, but it's more going to do it as a nonprofit, and really
it will have an online presence.
it'll have an online presence and like probably a email thing or something. But it's
Is there
just,
anything that exists right now?
Not really. There's
for that
little ones
community?
here or there, but not really. No, it's there's a thing called Grapevine, which is the AA one. There's little ones here or there. I've looked at all of them.
Is
and,
there a
they're not that
number?
good.
Do you know currently people involved in the United States? How many people are currently going?
Currently going?
Yeah, like is there a number? They even keep track of that?
No, they don't keep track of it. That's the great thing about AA is that there's no
There's no
central
record of
authority. There's
anything.
nothing. It's just whatever
Show up,
it is.
have
yeah.
cigarettes and some
I mean,
coffee.
yeah, and I guess you could probably figure it out by how many books that they might, but they never talk about how many
Yeah.
books that they sell or give away
I'm
each
just
year.
curious how many
So,
people at
I
the
mean, I would
moment.
say it's probably 1 million.
Do you think that low?
Yeah. Yeah, but that are
Yeah.
actually going, because then you also have one of the things that they do is that and this is one of the reasons why AA sometimes gets a bad rap because it doesn't work or whatever. It really does work if you work it, but they'll say you have to go to AA if you get like a DWE or something, and those people sometimes they're into it, and sometimes they aren't. So
That
you know,
falsifies the
but it's
number.
not. Listen, I literally studied cults. That was what my new religious movements was my concentration in grad school. And people are like, oh, it's a cult. I'm like, no, it's not a cult because cults have three things. One, a cult is a charismatic leader, which we don't have.
Always.
It's give me your money or something along those lines, which they don't do. And it usually is that charismatic leader says, I spoke to God last night and he told me I have to sleep with all
Yeah,
your wives.
you can't sleep with them, but now I sleep
Yeah,
with everybody's
exactly.
wife. Yeah.
And obviously there's none of that
And
in
I mean that
AA.
circles back to what we just spoke about, the hunger for being in a community.
Yeah. Yep.
People
So, and that's the
lost.
biggest thing. And when my mother was in it, I was more happy for her that she had the community even more than her not drinking, because she was, she had moved down to Florida. She didn't really have that support system, but then she got that with those people. So,
Right.
I think those are, anything that, even like the desktop board game type of things where you're going to meet people or Warhammer or something, anything that you can do in person is going to be really big. And when we're seeing this with the World Cup has been so amazing because you're with each other, and the need to go out did get bigger after when we were cooped up for so long during the pandemic. But the joy that you're seeing not just from fans of one team, but the fans of two teams like mixing together has been so much
You
fun.
ever curious why it doesn't continue without the World Cup here? Soccer.
I mean, they try. You know what? It has. There's Seattle, Portland. You get it a little bit. The biggest reason why it's not big, we're too big of a place.
The
Bottom
country is
line,
too
the
big of a
country's
place?
too big of a place. When you look at England, England is so small, and there's so many teams that it's so much easier for it to become part
I guess
of
it's
the.
almost like the energy we just had with the Knicks
Yeah.
in Manhattan.
Yep.
And there's no other it's the Knicks
Yeah.
in Manhattan.
Right. But like say in England, in London, you've got literally like six teams that are playing in like the top level.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Manchester, you've got two teams like the Yankees, Mets kind of thing. But like the regular season games are even more important
And
because
it's in their DNA from when it's
from when they're younger, their
their series
parents.
on it. I'm
Yeah.
just curious what the people are so into it right now that why they wouldn't follow the team, the soccer that happens here.
Yeah.
It's almost an afterthought.
It's, I
Is
mean,
the game not as
the
good?
game's not as good. It's getting better. I
Right.
mean, listen, Messi's still amazing and he plays for Miami.
Right.
So it's definitely getting better here. It'll get bigger. Our generation who grew up playing soccer as little kids are now in the positions of power. The sport is so much bigger than it was in '94 when it was here.
Yeah, but I still don't see like
No.
you would think with this hysteria that's going on right now in the country, everybody's rabid for the soccer.
I mean, think about if we only had the teams. It's also one of the reasons why we don't have a better football team, soccer team, is that you'll have the best players in the country. They might play each other once or twice a year, but then they're playing against worse competition.
Mhm.
In England, because everything's so far away, in England they're all condensed, so the best players are playing against
Nonstop.
the best players nonstop. It's not that they have better athletes; they just have better. They're playing against each other, and that's why you got to like have something where we just ship all of the best players into one little area, then just have them
Yeah.
play against each other. That's the only way we're going to win. Because you have that in every other country, but we don't have that.
I mean, and I end every episode the same with everybody. I ask one question.
Where were you on January 6th?
No, that is not what I had. That would end up a whole other podcast. The energy of the podcast is for people. Hopefully, it resonates with people who are going through something right now, and it doesn't have to be alcoholism or just somebody going through something, watching somebody else who's gone through it and gotten out. I ask everybody. I watch a lot of business podcasts and all these podcasts, and everybody's 5-year plan, 3-year, what's your 6-year, 10-year plan? For people that have been through it and talk about it, for me, it's the 1-day plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's today, and in my mind, I don't think I could get to tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm in it. Foreclosure, divorce,
Yeah.
estranged from your family, whatever it is, fired from your job, can't pay your bills,
or not even situational, or just you're
depressed,
depressed.
just
You
in
could be
it.
on top of the world and just be depressed. Yeah.
For you, what has become, what's your 1 day plan that you know, I just got to get to tomorrow? You go in your toolbox, something that you've used now
Hmm.
regularly over the past, you're going to celebrate 4 years. What's the thing you use regularly when you know you feel that feeling? You got to just get to tomorrow.
Yeah.
What works for you?
A dog.
Your dog.
Get a dog.
That's the first time anybody's fucking said that.
Get it
That is
when
the greatest answer.
Whenever I talk to people who are going through it, I say the first thing I say is if they're getting canceled. I talk to a lot of men who have gone through something, just like even if something like they get sued, and like the first thing that somebody, if they're a doctor, and then they, all of that kind of stuff, and I just tell them, it's like, do you have a dog? If you have a dog, pet your dog. If you don't have a dog, get a dog. Number one thing.
Were you a dog guy before? Were you a dog
Oh
guy?
yeah, no, I was always a
Really?
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a biggie. And then obviously, I'm lucky to have my family. But I think the dog is something that is accessible and something anybody can get one. Anybody could really take care of
Well, the
one.
dog will love you unlike
Yep.
anybody will love you. That's a great fucking answer, man. Yeah. I've never heard anybody say that before, but it's that simple.
Yeah.
Because we were just talking about somebody alone in the hotel room needing that phone call
Yeah.
from a friend. That dog's gonna sit on your lap and put some body heat
Yeah.
on you. The dog knows when you're in it.
And you also have to take care of the dog too. And that's, my friend that I was talking about who died by suicide, she was actually in a place where she didn't have her cats with her. So I've talked about that
Purposefully.
with her friends. No, no, no. She
Oh.
was on a work thing, but I don't think she would have. We talk about, like, maybe she wouldn't have done it
If
that
she saw her
time.
cats.
If she had her cats there and knew she had to take care of the cats, but her cats were with her parents. So it's like, so there's that
The
element of it
responsibility
as
of the
well.
pet, yeah.
But yeah, dog.
I dig that answer, brother. Yeah, I think that's a perfect way. That's a perfect way to end that conversation, because I think that alone, I mean, that is a helpful tool. I never thought of. I have 3 dogs. You have
I have
one
one dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 3 dogs right now. I never thought I'd have more than 1 dog, but I have 3
Mhm.
dogs, and I was actually up with my dog last night with an ear thing going on, and it's almost like you're up with your kid.
Yeah.
She's got an ear
Mhm.
thing, and it's almost like you're up with your kid. But Billy, I appreciate you coming out today, man. Let's hope the season turns around for us with these Mets, man.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it's the year we got to watch Benj, Ewing.
Yeah. Listen, we had 2 great moments. We had opening day when we ran Skeens out the building. That was amazing.
Awesome.
And then we had
I forgot that even happened.
yeah, we had the Yankee series. That was great too.
Not bad.
That's all we had. So we're seeing these young guys, and like I try to explain to people, this isn't Stearns' team. It's not even Cohen's team. It's our team,
Mhm.
And we need to, go. You know what? If you want to boo, boo. It's totally fine. But this is, for better for worse, this is such a team based on belief. If you were to describe one word as the Mets, it is belief.
Mhm.
It's always been, it's in our DNA. The fact that they were able to win in '69 after being so horrible for so long, that was a miracle. And then '86 was the biggest miracle ever you'll never find a bigger comeback
No.
in a game. I think there was like 99.8% chance of losing that game.
Yeah.
And
If
certainly,
Kalshi
Yeah.
Kalshi existed at the time.
yeah, I've seen somebody did it, and it was they've said just 99%, but if you went further, it's just like 2 outs, 2 strikes, nobody on. It's
Yeah,
like,
you're
what are you doing with that? Yeah, so down 2 runs, So I think having gone through that, and maybe I've thought about as far as prayers, because I think I did say a prayer, and maybe God said, all right, I'm going to give you this, but you're going to have 40 years of heartache. But just that whole team, and that, and I'll end with this, actually. I was the biggest Lenny Dykstra fan. I got his jersey, but 2 months after he started. I was the first kid wearing his jersey and walking around Shea, which still has like Carvel stains on it and stuff. And I bought his rookie mitt from him at a card show.
Really?
At the end of that season, bought his rookie cleats from him too. And
You still have both?
oh yeah, and you know, followed him. I would go to like every personal appearance he did, everything. I was like that. And then you know, obviously Lenny's been through a lot, and I reached out to him, and we had chatted a little bit over Twitter, and I reached out to him and I said, "Hey Lenny, I will I will give you back your rookie cleats if you let me take you to a meeting." And he said, "That's the best." He wrote, "That's the best offer I've had in a
Did
long
he take
time."
you up on it?
No, because Strawberry apparently came in. Daryl, who I also talked to, who's big, who is very much into second chances, obviously, and Daryl took him, and
He took him.
Daryl, yeah, and Lenny seems like he's doing great right now.
Let's hope, man.
And I mean, I was like, well, yeah, and I think he'll be there at the reunion, and it's you were kind of seeing it too. He's been off Twitter because I think, but like right before, he was starting to sound a lot more lucid. And he was starting to sound a little not as, you know, kind of out of it. And but that was just a cool sort of interaction, you know, because when you see like your boyhood hero, you know, just like crashing like that, you know, that's something. But it was cool for him to have said that, and then obviously with Daryl to come in and I think he might have taken him to rehab and done that stuff for
Yeah.
him. So, and that's so cool. These are two guys from two different backgrounds that were able to, you know, still have that connection
Through that
40,
team.
40 years later.
Yeah.
Through that amazing team.
Yeah, there was a
you know?
bunch of problem children on that team that,
Yeah.
that were left to their own devices and did not make the right decisions. But any 20-year-old with a bunch of money in the bank
Yeah.
is probably going to get into some fucking
Back then, yeah, in 1985
and coke at the time.
1986 in New York with the you know, you're giving anybody, you know, that much money in a place and not giving them handlers or having somebody really take them aside and tell them you know, what to do. You know, we really did a disservice, particularly to Doc and Straw, who really should be in the Hall of Fame right now. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
There-
there was never, I've never seen anybody swing like Straw.
or pitch like Doc.
Never seen it in that 85 season was insane.
was
You
it
know,
was-
everybody talks about Skeens and I was like, there's nothing compares to the way
No.
Strawberry, way Doc was doing.
Fearless.
Yeah.
I mean, and you got to think who he was pitching to.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Pete Rose,
Mike Schmidt.
I mean, these
you know,
guys were
yeah.
different caliber.
Yeah.
They were different caliber human. But what they should have did with these guys, they should have bought them all a dog.
Yeah.
They should have got every one of them a dog, and this way they knew they had to stay clean and get the fuck
They
home
should.
to their
That's
dog.
what they exactly.
Billy,
what
I
they should have
appreciate
done.
you, brother.
Thanks so much, man.
I think that episode really is going to help a bunch of people, and I look forward to seeing what you're up to, man. I appreciate you taking the trip.
I hope so. No, that's my thing right now is all about service and trying to help people. And if I can do that and just reach out to, you know, just help one person with this, I'll do it.
That is a mission that will save all of us, be in service to everybody else. But I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks so much.